And hello everybody, hopefully you've had a wonderful couple of weeks away from us. We're back here at the Marine Travel Ground here, brought to you by MMS 360 Media. So we've got an interesting development this week, really, I suppose, in terms of rugby outside of the NCA, but do more with the RFU. Obviously, we've had two major clubs have issues financially in terms of Wasps and in terms, obviously, of Worcester. Now, the question is why are clubs like that struggling? Now, we're looking at the fact that most of the time it's all to do with the overall debt of people at the present time. So the Warriors themselves have got overall debt which is believed to be about £25 million. Now, this is included £6 million debt to the HMRC and also a £15 million loan from Sports London, which was involved when they had, obviously, during the whole pandemic. Wasps, on the other hand, theirs comes from unpaid taxes again, and also from a £35 million which they had to raise when they changed stadiums from where they were in Wickham to when they're going up to Coventry. So there's lots of stuff to discuss there in terms of how the RFU are dealing with that. And what we see here is that there's a bigger picture here, is that how can a club the size of Wasps, and that's not me saying that Worcester aren't a big club, I'm just saying that Wasps, you know, these guys have been in the Premiership right from the word go. They've won multiple trophies and European trophies. Now, there's a couple of factors to this which has contributed to this situation. One, as I said, is the raising of the millions of pounds in their aid, which they received aid to be relocated to Coventry. Then you've got continuous year-on-year losses, decreases of winning silverware, and the rises of wages for the players and coaches. Now, obviously, the final one is COVID, which they've then called about here. But if we're looking at what's being out there in the media during this week, we've got Sky Sports in terms of Will Greenwood asking the question about how do teams cut their cloths accordingly. So it's really interesting to see that we're talking about the Premiership level clubs here. They're struggling. Now, what can it be like for the levels that we're in down here? Now, hopefully later on today we're going to have the opportunity to chat to Canterbury's president, Greg Main, and we're going to ask him that exact question about how do a club the size of Canterbury cut their cloth accordingly. So something really interesting there, I think, to discuss later on when he pops over. In terms of the game, well, I'm not going to lie to you, we've just had a load of rain come down, the wind's picked up. Thankfully for me and my hair and my sunglasses, my glasses themselves, the rain's kicked off now and stopped, which is fantastic for us. Now, we're looking at a team here against Canterbury Dorking. Now, Dorking have been going about their business very carefully and quietly over the last couple of years. They've stepped themselves up through the leagues and they have a really good base down. I was chatting to their head coach earlier on, Armand Roux, who was saying that during COVID, their club actually spent £600,000 on getting themselves a much bigger gym so they can obviously introduce and obviously look after the strength and conditioning of their players better. But they've also done a bit of ground development there. So it really is showing that there is money still in this level, and I think that they've done very well. We're looking at, in terms of how Canterbury have done so far this season, well, we seem to be a team which can win away from home rather than a team that can win at home. Now, we're hoping today that this is going to change. This Dorking team which has come up to face Canterbury today, well, they're 5 games into their season. They've won 3, they've drawn 1 and they've lost 1. Both the defeat and the draw has come away from home. So that's kind of maybe saying to us as a club that we can probably expect something to go our way today. However, more often than not, as we've seen so far with our live streams, the moment I start bigging up Canterbury or saying something positive for us, it tends to flip the other way. So I'm hoping I'm not going to be the bad penny again. In terms of what we've got to look forward to today, obviously we've got the team lineups, which are just going to go through, and then we'll go into the sponsors for today's game. In terms of our team lineup, well, we've gone strong again at the front here. So we've got young Billy Young playing at loosehead. We then have Nathan Morris at hooker, Danny Herriot at loosehead. Then we're followed by Royce Cadman, back for his second game into the first team today. Probably a big game expected from him in the row, along with Jamie Stevens, the captain. And then we've got a lovely, quite a young back row, really. When we're talking about Harry Andrews, who we've seen down here earlier on this season, the pre-season game. Cameron Murray, who's been the pick of my forwards so far this season. And Brick Oliver Tyler. So we've got players there who can really take people on up front. If we're then looking at the back line, and we've got Will Calder stepping in, Frank Reynolds playing at fly half. Then on the wing we've got Frank Morgan on the left, with Guy Hilton on the right, and we've got our centre pairing of Thomas Best and Will Wollington. Now that's one been going really well, and I've been really impressed with how much Will Wollington's played so far this season. And at the back we've got young Ross Howard. We then look through the Dorking team. We've got players such as Henry Birch, who's been around, and he knows exactly how he should be playing in essence, this level. We've then got Jonathan Ellis and Thomas Bristow. They obviously complete the front row for them. Their second row is Stephen Howarth and Dara Chambers. Back rows of Giles Grant, Frederick Dalton and Finn Osborne. A very strong setup that they have there. In terms of how they've done so far is that they have been picking up players from Worthing, and they certainly have been spending a little bit of cash in trying to get just a slightly higher calibre of player down at their club, which has clearly helped them in terms of how they've started the season. We've then got their backline of George Jackson, Henry Anscombe, who's very handy at a fly half, Austin Emmons on the left wing, Thomas Hunt on the right, with the midfield pairing of Ryan Jeffrey, Fraser Mosley and Cameron Cowell at fullback. So just to quickly then tap up, that's our team list for the day. We're then going to be looking at our sponsors. So our sponsors today are Towergate Insurance, which are the match day sponsor. Now at Towergate, they know that one size rarely fits all, and so with access to over 200 insurance policies designed for the customers, their business and their lifestyle in mind, along with more than 2,000 trained specialists on hand, they can help you to protect what matters most to you. We then have our ball sponsors, and we'll come to them now in a moment, because we've actually now just got some of the presidents here from Canterbury coming over to see us. So we have just going to be joined here by two very distinguished gentlemen here. We're on live stream here, guys, with MMS Media 360. Normally you go to the home team first. I'm going to go to the away team first. My most important question is, how was lunch?
It was excellent. It really was excellent. Lovely warm welcome for Dorking Rugby Club, and you couldn't fault it.
Fantastic. Lunch,
it was very nice, and the jokes were of the highest level.
Even mine. That worries me.
Excellent lunch.
What we've just been saying before you guys have come on air with us is that I've been discussing the fact of how we're looking outside of our level rugby. We're talking about in terms of the Premiership. We've got, obviously, in the last 2 weeks now, we've got Worcester, and now we've got Wasps literally in huge financial situations. How do teams at our level end up trying to cut their cloth accordingly?
I think for us, it's being part of that community and making sure that we're factoring in everything that we can for the community. So right from the youngest kids to those players coming back or wanting walking rugby and so on, just making sure that we're an integral part so that people can have that release valve from everyday mundane things, mortgages and all of that kind of thing, come up here, have a good time any day of the week, really. So I think we just need to be an integral part of the community.
In terms of then, obviously, we know that even at our level there needs to be spending. Because obviously it's a league structure, it's going about fine margins. How about you? How do you kind of go about, in essence, recruiting the right players and also the right coaches?
Well, first of all, you're quite right. You've got to look at the finances. You cannot ignore that factor. And as Greg says, you've got to get the basics in right to begin with. So you've got the money sorted out, and you can only spend as much as you've got. And other clubs have obviously found out if you don't do that, it isn't going to go well. And once you've got your money in place, then you've got to spend accordingly. And you must do. You have to. Otherwise, it's not going to end well. And the other thing you've got to do is to make sure that you've got contingencies in place, that you don't have a single point of failure. I think that's what some clubs find, that you've got one supporter putting in a large amount of money which then can be withdrawn, and that's what leads, in my view, to where clubs suddenly find themselves in real difficulty.
Yeah, that's an interesting statement there, because previously, before joining the Rugby Cup here at Canterbury, I was at Esher for many years, and obviously we had at Esher 2 or 3 very how can we say, generous benefactors, shall we say. And the moment that did get withdrawn, then obviously we noticed a huge difference in terms of what was happening on the pitch from that. So it's really interesting to see that. In terms of where you think, where we think Wasps or Worcester can go from this situation, I mean, is there a way back for both clubs, do you think, Greg?
Well, again, I'm going to play that community card. From what I understand, Worcester are, like a proper club that come up through the ranks like we have, or in a similar way to both our clubs. If they've got that base of support, then there's got to be a way back for them. Wasps, I don't know. Having relocated, they were up against it, trying to sort of tap into the Coventry area. They obviously had a plan. Whether that plan has been scuppered or just put back a bit, I don't know. I would like to think that Worcester have got some future. Wasps, I'm not so sure. They're more of a money pit, I think,
Yeah, it's interesting you mention that, because obviously they did go from obviously being in Wickham, or Ealing, then Wickham, and then from there obviously then to Coventry. They've tried to tap into a base where there's already a fairly decent level rugby team in Coventry.
Well, that's right, and as Greg said, you've got to keep your base. Your base, it's very difficult once you get into that rarefied atmosphere of those sort of clubs to have what you would call a base. We're lucky, we have a base. We have our community club, we have our women, we have our girls, we have our boys, we have our senior men, and they're all tied into the community. The senior clubs, that not so much so, and that's where the difficulty lies. Is where do you go back to? Now, when Richmond, of course, went down the leagues, but they had a local base, and people were very loyal to Richmond, and they have rebuilt. Whether Wasp can, I don't know.
No. I was going to just have one thing if I can. I think the fundamental point as well is that this club, and in your club as well, belongs to the members. The guys out there, the guys watching. We have a slogan, a slogan of one club, but we will say your club. It's your club. It's not someone's earnings or anything like that. There's a difference between the two, I think. So, fundamentally, it belongs to the members.
Yeah, I think that's probably the most important thing there, isn't it? That maybe at our level, because we haven't reached those higher echelons with the dizzying heights of the Premiership and the Championship, that maybe we have the ability still to keep hold of that community, perhaps. In terms of today, obviously, no doubt, both of you are going to be hoping for a win. We've had an interesting one so far this season that we seem to be able to win away from home at Canterbury rather than away. And then we can flip the opposite way round, and Dorking seem to win at home, but not away. So what are you kind of expecting today? And I'm going to go with yourself, Greg, first.
I'm hoping for a win, yes. What I'm hoping for is to be fire a few shots today. We haven't really sort of packed anything out yet, so I'd like to see us fire a few shots today.
And yourself, sir?
Well, clearly I'd like a win. We've had some mixed results, but mostly on the positive side. We were disappointed. Our game at Sevenoaks away ended up from 26-5 ahead to a 26-all draw. We learned a lot from that, and our DOR has worked on the fine-tuning of the game. It's two evenly matched sides, and it should be a great game of rugby, and I hope we win.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm really intrigued personally. Again, being a very, very amateur loosehead, I'm always intrigued to see how the front eight are going to do and how that's going to pan out. But I think today's going to be a cracking game. It's really lovely for both of you gentlemen to come and chat to us today. Thank you, guys. Have a great enjoy the rest of the day and enjoy a beer or two. So in terms of that, guys, obviously there we go. We've got two wonderful presidents there from two different clubs there, just talking about really that it's about getting that community-based feel. And that's what they seem to be saying there about the reason why maybe both clubs have found themselves in a bit of a tricky situation. If you don't get the community rugby part right, perhaps that's where it goes wrong. But on the flip side of that, they were saying there was still the community base there for some clubs, even when you do reach up to that higher echelon. So it's really something that I think a lot of people now are going to have to look at and they'll be a little bit more mindful of. On top of that, we've got here that Will Greenwood mentioned here that on Sky Sports this week that he said that the ins can't get close to matching the outs, and he's saying that the irony is that rugby on the pitch is getting better and it's even more amazing, and yet it should be watched by hundreds of thousands of people because it's that good, but the numbers just don't stack up. Now, we could be then saying to ourselves that maybe we're in an area of the world which is really purely more about football than it is necessarily about rugby. But with that, obviously, then comes, obviously, with wage bills and salary caps and whether or not that's actually too high, because we have got quite a lot of high-profile players getting paid a very princely sum for doing the job that they're doing. But that doesn't even match up to what players in the football side of things are getting paid. So there's something really interesting to pick up on there. It's really nice to see the presidents coming in today. Obviously, we've spoken about Dorking. The final things I just want to mention before we kick off today is that we have obviously got our other sponsors here. So we've got two ball sponsors today. One is Canterbury Christchurch College. Now, they celebrated their Diamond Jubilee last year. They're inspired by the Church of England Foundation. The university's mission is to pursue excellence in higher education, transforming individuals, creating knowledge, enriching communities and building a sustainable future for their undergraduate and postgraduate courses. The other ball sponsor is Graham the Plumbers Merchants. Graham are a supplier of plumbing, heating, bathroom materials and renewables. And as I said to you before, right at the beginning of our stream today, obviously we're coming to you through from MMS Media 360. Now, just to touch on what these guys do, obviously they do live streaming because you're hearing me or you're seeing me, but they also do 3D virtual tours, aerial photography and filming using the UAV or drones, as well as traditional photography, video editing and video production. Now hopefully at the end of the game today we're going to hopefully be joined by the Director of Rugby for Dorking, Armand Roux, along with Matt Corker, so we can have a really good, hopefully a good chat with both of them, discuss how they thought the game, how the game's gone, and any other interesting points which may well come up. Now obviously I'm waiting for my co-host, the lovely young man called Limmers. I'm sure he'll be with us fairly soon, but the players are just beginning to come out now. We're a minute away from kick-off. So hopefully, guys, strap down, go and grab your beer, or finish off making that cup of tea. Sit down, grab a couple of bickies, and get ready for this game.
Would you welcome some of our signals, Dorking? Led by their captain, Freddie Dalton.
We on?
You will be in a minute.
Off at the moment.
I don't know if they're doing it in minutes.
And Canterbury now, led by Jamie Stevens.
Week four, yeah. Well, everybody, I've been joined by my lovely friend here, Limmers. Mate, you've left me on my own there chatting to two presidents. I was extremely concerned. I had to be very wary of my language, but I think I nailed it. How are you?
Did very well. Yeah, it's lovely to be back here with you again. What is looking like a cracking day for rugby as well. Decent weather, a little bit of water on the pitch. So it's a little bit of a skiddy game ahead. So yeah, it's going to be a beautiful day. So it seems like you've warmed us up nicely, Clemmy.
Well, I can but hope, my friend. We've got a minute of silence here again. Not again, that sounds really harsh for me saying the phrase again there. Well, we've got a minute of silence for another one of our members who died just 2 weeks, I think it was last week. They did have the wake on Thursday, is that correct? I don't know if you were up here for it, Limmers.
No, I unfortunately couldn't make it, but there's another one, Brian Pitchford, who unfortunately passed away recently as well. Another strong member of the club who looks after the wheelchair section as well. So unfortunately it's been a really tough year for the club.
Yeah, no, it certainly has. We're just waiting for the referee to start this off for us. And there we go, guys. That's the minutes of applause done. We're going to obviously get underway with Canterbury going down the hill first half. Now I'm going to say, Limmers, we talk about the slope. What's the slope going to do for us today, buddy?
Okay, so traditionally, I've always had a little bit of humble pie when we've been up here, but normally we say 14 points down the slope. Okay, so more importantly than that, you really want to set a tone. So you want to set a tone down here and really get the rhythm of your game, get yourself on the front foot, really start probing them into their 22 and see what their defence is about when you're going down the hill. So, and when you're in defence, Clemmy, how much does it hurt when you're making those tackles? When you're going round the corners, rock after rock after rock, it really wears you out. So if you can get them done early doors, Yeah,
it certainly does. I mean, I was watching the ladies' game this morning, England versus France. Now, at one point, I mean, there was a fair few breaks in play in terms of that game, but at one point the French ladies actually made 80 tackles in the first half. That is an immense number.
Yes, so not an enviable task. So here we go. So decent kick from Canterbury to start off with. It looks like it was knocked on from Dorking. So Dorking, I'm sure you've covered this plenty of times, stepped up to this league, had a really good start to the season. They're playing pretty well so far. So it's going to be a really tough test for Canterbury. So Canterbury got a decent little in here. They've Dorking given us a little sniff.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, I mean, this is what you probably would want really from the kickoff. I mean, you've got the ball back. You're in a position which is just to the left-hand side of the pitch here, going down the hill. You've got attacking options then, obviously, to your left and to your right. Let's just see how they do. I'm really interested by the pack today. We've got Big Royce back in the row. It seems to be paying dividends already there, if you ask me.
Unfortunately, we lost the ball on the head there, though, which is not a great start for the pack.
I'm intrigued to see how the back row goes today, Limmers, because you've got Harry Andrews in there along with Cameron Murray, so two young lads.
Yeah, both got bundles and bundles of energy. The Judds game that we commentated on together, unfortunately, didn't go Canterbury's way, but Cameron Murray had a stellar performance that day. And in the pre-season games we watched together as well.
Mate, honestly,
he really looks the part.
You know what? I really do like him, and especially in that Tonbridge game, he looked fantastic.
So
Dorking here looking
Dorking just
out wide, aren't they?
They've come pushing Canterbury just towards the halfway line here, really probing us left to right. Seeing what we're made of in defence, and Danny Harrier, we were cracking rip. Jamie Stevens popping out wide here. And Canterbury have got the ball back. All of a sudden we were saying Dorking were probing, and a flash like that, the experienced man Danny Harriet getting involved and ripping the ball. I
think that's probably going to be the first time we may well say that Harriet's ripped a ball like that in all the many years. I mean, Danny's known for more of the dark art side of things, more than the cleaner stuff, perhaps.
Yeah, but I tell you what, if he's going to do that, he can do that all day. You know,
absolutely.
That's experience. Let the younger guy chop the tackle and I'll take the ball, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And then obviously offload it, because I don't really want to run 50 yards down the pitch here.
No, exactly.
So second scrum then. So you're going to expect really getting Canterbury to have a little bit of a shove on here. It is Dorking's ball in here, but they always seem to depower the scrum when you have to actually now hook. Canterbury with a good shove, quick ball back out the back from Dorking. Out to their winger, seems to step inside, and he's gone for the audacious.
Went for the outrageous.
Outrageous, I like that.
Outrageous. I like flair. I'm a big fan of flair. However, I think you've got to do it at the right moment. Unfortunately, that wasn't quite the right moment, but here we go. It's Canterbury line out. This is one of the areas that we've talked about before for Canterbury, which is a cornerstone of their success, and it started off pretty well here.
Now, Frank.
Now that is a cracking kick.
Yeah, that's going to give your fly off confidence. Surely.
I tell you what, is that a 50-22? Are we going to? Is that Canterbury's ball in the corner there? I'm not sure where the initial line out was. The kick was definitely in our half. Let's see what the ref.
See his arms coming Canterbury's way. Yes.
Yeah. So I tell you what, Frankie Reynolds there. That is fantastic. He's seen the gap. Executed it perfectly, and now Canterbury are right on the front foot.
And the great thing for him is, again, with the fly half, getting a kick like that out of the way within the first couple of minutes just gives you confidence to play, doesn't it?
Yeah, completely. It's something that he knows that he's got within himself. I've talked to the boys here up at Canterbury, they know he's got it within himself, and it's good to see that Frankie's really starting to demonstrate it.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately there, Canterbury won the line out, couldn't execute a clean ball quickly. Dorking all over it, and now we're going back in for another scrum down. Canterbury not making the most of what they had in the corner there.
No, and to be fair, it looked fine from the line out. The lift was good, the jump was good, the ball was down, it was fine. It was just when they came down from the lift, it all seemed to just break up and segmate. And obviously Dorking can then get in there, get their hands on the ball, and obviously slow the ball down. The referee's giving it to them. So yeah, another Dorking put in at the scrum.
Yeah, so let's see big pushes early doors. Let's see how things progress here. Are you expecting
referee calling it?
Yeah, we're going to reset that here. So you're Dorking's number 10, Clemmy. Obviously
I've always played 10, yeah.
Yeah, obviously for those who don't know Clemmy, he's an An out-and-out front row. But let's just pretend for a second that he's Dorking's number 10. What are you doing?
Well,
what's your call? 8 pick and go, give it to me, I'm going to boot it. What are we talking?
if it's me, okay, you got to remind yourself that I'm a Harlequins fan at heart as well, yeah, and I like a bit of Barbar's play here. But I think for me, I would play. So for me, I'd be asking for that ball really quick off the 9. I'd be coming back in on their fly half.
Well, unfortunately, as Dorking number 10, you're not getting it because Canterbury has absolutely nailed it on the head there from the scrum. Arm straight up from the referee. From a distance, I can't see what it's for, but
my guess there, looking at his possible arm movement, is very hard to see all the way down the slope. I think they weren't driving straight at a guess.
Yeah, so not driving straight, talk me through it. What does that mean to the layman?
Well, you know, this is what cracks me up with some of the stuff with rugby. The terminology is so obvious, but then so you always end up having to explain it. So just driving straight. Your first, all three, so that the loose head, the hooker, the tight head, both teams need to be literally just trying to drive straight, not trying to bore in on their numbers. The referee will set the tone pretty well if he makes sure he sees 6 shoulders before they go down. If he can see all the 6 shoulders, he's in a good position.
So, jumping in from that Canterbury Wonderline, I've got a real good shove on here. A few of the boys from the 10, 12 have really jumped in on the push, twisting and turning.
Here is that Dorking seemed to have segmented it really well.
Yeah, and unfortunately Canterbury couldn't make the most of the shove push they had there. Dorking have held it up, and we're going to come back for a penalty to them. So we've seen good glimpses from Canterbury, but we haven't seen that the killer instinct.
Yeah, now there was a phrase which Matt Corker said, I can't remember if it was the Tunbridge game, or I think it might well have been after the Blackheath, their defeat here, but he said that we hadn't fired a shot. And then Greg, our president here, he also mentioned the phrase that they hadn't fired a shot. It seems to be like a little statement which is bounding around the club here. And I think what they're trying to say is that you haven't really earned the right to play, but you haven't even remotely been incisive. You haven't really gone for anything. And that appears to be maybe the case at the present time for Canterbury so far in this game.
So as we see, Dorking clean ball down. They're going quick off the head, not straight, says the referee there. So.
Well, the referee
it's not an overly windy day, so you can't. So as a hooker, there's certain things that you blame. The wind is normally the number one, and it's fairly calm. I was out on the pitch behind us. I'm not sure what camera angle we're on at the moment, but pitch behind us warming up, watching our third team warm up. They were trying to blame the wind as well. It's not overly windy, but so here we go. We've got Canterbury put in a really dangerous position here.
Yeah, certainly have. I would love to see. I'd love to see us go through a full set play and go through the phases which come from it. Now you can see something is happening here because Guy Hilton's come off the right wing to come inside there. I don't know if he didn't make the line quick enough there. I thought Frank Reynolds was looking for him there.
Yeah, so it was interesting because Tommy Best stepped into what you would describe as duty as the 10 channel and started dictating it. Frankie Reynolds dropped behind. Clearly decent work during the midweek for Canterbury to kind of get these plays going. Didn't execute then, but promising signs. Here we go. Brick's got one-on-one on the wing. Puts Frankie Morgan away as that stepped in.
You know what? He could score anywhere, can't he?
Frank, I tell you what, I'm a big fan of Frankie's. He's spent a few years in the twos. He's done his hard work, and he's stepped up this year, last year, and he's really starting to make his presence felt in this first team.
I mean, his size of him. I mean, you look at him, you're almost thinking, hang on, I've got a second row coming at me down the wing.
Yeah,
he's almost like a Matt Banahan kind of thing.
Do you remember Ricky McIntosh that was up here a few years ago?
Oh, yes.
I'm not going to run round them, I'm going to run over them. It's that kind of approach. And there's 2 wingers. We've got young Max Halliday on the bench.
Yes.
I'm going to run round them, and he's an absolute whippet. Catch him if you can. And then we got Frankie Morgan here. I'm going to run over them.
Yep. Well, that was a really nice bit of work there. I mean,
great hands from Brick out there in that narrow channel as well. Not always what you expect from your big boys, but
and certainly not necessarily from Brick either. It's unfortunate there that Frankie Reynolds has just hit the post with the conversion. But I was just going to say that what I was really quite impressed with there from Brick is that normally what Brick will tend to do, as we know, he's a big ball carrying 8. Normally he's just going to be looking at actually setting that man and running through him. But he did just make a slight step, just slightly, very slightly inside, which then set the player, which then gave him the opportunity to give the ball to Frank Morgan.
Yeah, no, we had
Nice
a perfect
finish.
angle of that here. So Dorking have put it back into our half. Jamie Stevens couldn't quite get there on the reach, but it's gone backwards off the hands. And Canterbury is starting to set again here.
Now, surely you're just going to be looking for the exit here, aren't you, if you're Frank Reynolds and the boys?
And that's decent kick, not much distance, but it wasn't an easy pickup. Dorking are coming just over the halfway line. Canterbury wrapped them up quite nicely there.
The wall was good there, though. The chase from the kick was much better.
And
That's
that is
going
out on the
isn't it, all
full.
day?
So kicking out on the full.
I was going to say, you're going to ask me, Clemmy, what does kicking out on the full
Yeah,
mean?
no,
But
no.
I'm going to flip and go, hey, Limmers, Limmers, give me
I'll
that
run
one.
you through this one. So unless you are starting the ball inside your own 22, if you kick it out without bouncing it before it goes into touch, it's called on the full. That means that the opposition get the line out where the ball was kicked from, essentially.
Yeah.
So Canterbury have got the ball on the halfway line here. Quick, clean ball. Bricks running at his opposition 10 there, who didn't look like he was having a good time. However, once he's hit the deck, he's taken one too many rolls, and the referee's not happy about it. The arm goes up.
Yeah, see, that roll thing is always an interesting one for me, because I always feel like, if you can roll, you can get on your hands and knees and just crawl along.
Yeah, so the whole point of the roll is that once I hit the deck as a ball carrier, is it 7 or 5? 5. Once you hit the deck as a ball carrier, if I make one or two rolls, like a sausage or whatever you want to think about it, roll over, the opposition can't get on you to strip the ball, or jackal or ruck over, because you're kind of moving. And what the referee isn't happy with there, he's saying that Brick's making one too many rolls, taking advantage of the situation. 1 or 2 rolls, you're okay. 3 or 4 rolls,
You might be asking a bit of trouble.
Yeah. So anyway, so Dorking have got the ball back just bang on the halfway line here. They're starting to get into their rhythm a little bit.
They got some big players. I'll try them again. Some big players out there. I mean, again, it looks like they have beefed up. I mean, I did a little bit of research. I do like to have a little bit of research every now and again. So Dorking themselves, as we know, they've already come up through the leagues.
Yeah.
They've done it about it kind of quite quietly, but quite cleverly. There hasn't been anything huge, like all of a sudden we're up. But what they've done is they've actually employed quite a few new clever players. Now, last year they had a player called Harry Elbro, who was ex-Esher, but also at Old Eltamians. Now, a cracking back row player. And he would have definitely been a gun to hire, or a sellsword if you like, Game of Thrones. But there has been a fair amount of money pumped into this actual playing squad. They got the ex-Worthing captain down here this year as well. So they are thinking about going higher again. They're not happy just to stay in this league, it would appear.
Yeah, no. So you mentioned before about the money they pumped in for the infrastructure club as well. So exciting to see from clubs in this area the ambition that they're going to go through. Unfortunately, their ambition didn't match the ability there. Canterbury win the penalty bang on the halfway line, and Frankie is going to put us in the corner just on the 22 there for Canterbury. But you have to say, equally, I know Canterbury haven't gone out and acquired these big name players, but the acquisition of CT Barbell, the gym in the corner for strength and conditioning, Canterbury are trying to build a real strong platform where they can push. Obviously, they don't believe they're going to put promotion this year, but you've got to build the foundation stones for long-term success.
Yeah, definitely. And I like that phrase, foundations, and that's the thing. I think that's what Dorking have done pretty well so far as well, in terms of how they've progressed through the leagues. And it's just nice to see. And more importantly, I think for me, we get to see yet another local-ish game, shall we say.
Yeah, so unfortunately referee's left hand goes up, penalty to Dorking. They've taken a quick tap and go. They're starting to push Canterbury back again. Still in their own half, mind.
Clever cross
Guy Hilton.
kick. How's that bounce?
The ball bounces just beyond him, and it goes out for a Canterbury line out just inside Canterbury's half. Dorking probing, not really asking any meaningful questions as of yet, I would suggest.
I think this juncture here is just beginning to get a little bit sticky out there in terms of neither team is really going through multiple phases. They're more than happy to go for maybe 3-4 max, then kick the ball away. It's as if they're both trying to work out where's your weakness.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, so another quick clean line out from Canterbury there. decent pick and carry in the midfield. You see Frankie with his arms spread wide here at 10. He wanted it to come left, but we've gone right.
It's a great spot if they've gone for that spot.
Guy Hilton breaks one, couldn't break two. We're going to hopefully get the clean ball back here for Canterbury.
Slow ball, Dorking slowing it up brilliantly there.
Canterbury unable to clear the first threat at the breakdown. And as we can see to our right hand side here, Clemmy, Coach Alex Veal, Chairman Giles Hilton, not happy about the work rate of the support players.
Well, I would say it's unlike our wonderful chairman to voice his opinions. But again, one point, with our chairman Giles, I mean, he is venomously, he supports the team fantastically well, and it's all about inclusivity, and he just wants the best from them.
Yeah, there's no questions. If you're not good enough, you're not good enough. But if you're not going to work hard enough, that's when people really start to get annoyed.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that this Canterbury team don't work hard enough. In that particular instance, I think we were slow off the mark to get to the breakdown there. But really clever, quick play to shut down Dorking's counter-attack there. And then Canterbury have won the ball back and we've got a line out.
Now, he's been a great addition, I think, to the squad so far this year, Nathan Morris.
Yeah,
Will.
Yeah, so we'll call it bashing through the middle here for Canterbury. As soon as Canterbury get on the front foot and break through that first tackle, we've lost the ball, and it's one of those moments where you think it's happened to Dorking a couple of times as well. Both teams are trying a little bit too hard; they're forcing it a little bit.
Yeah, I think sometimes you do need to just literally go through the phases. Remember what you've been doing on a Tuesday night and a Thursday night, or whatever nights that you actually do train, and just realise that if it's not on, it's not on.
Yeah, wait for that support running to arrive on your shoulder, and then we go again. But yeah, no, we're going back to Nathan Morris joining in Canterbury this year. He's been a real good sensation joining the club. Old head.
Yes.
He's not going to revolutionise the way we play, but he's revolutionised the way we trained, which is foundation building blocks for future players, and he's done a cracking job of that. Communication in the outfield really poor there from Canterbury. We've got Ross Howard at 15 and Frankie Reynolds just bumping into each other, which shouldn't be happening. But saying that, we've still got the ball and we're moving it quickly to the left hand side.
Looks like it may well have been lost here though. No, referee has given us. So they're saying then that the player, the tackler, is actually not released.
Yeah, so
we got lucky there, I think. There.
Yeah, so there's a really tight call on if you're the tackler, the ball hits the floor. You have to show a clear release before you get back on and jackal. In the lower levels, the referees like to see almost like arms above your head and hit the deck again. Yeah. You really have to exaggerate to show that you're not touching the guy on the floor anymore. And obviously, the ref has said that the tackler hadn't made that clear commitment to get off the ball.
Yeah.
And so, right arm goes up. Canterbury's penalty. So, another interesting position for Canterbury here.
Certainly is. Line out again, good. Literally, they've gone for middle ball again, driving nicely, passed out to the back. They've gone for the marauding, shall we say marauding, Frank Morgan?
Yeah, definitely. That's a good call, marauding Morgan. And Canterbury just starting to work it from left to right here. Building a bit of a pattern of play, which we haven't seen yet.
No, what's interesting here is that you've got Will Calder, bless him. So he's coming in now for Cooper, isn't it? Is he in for Coops?
Yeah.
What I find interesting with him is that he doesn't seem to just want to go purely left, then right, then back from the right to the left. He seems to actually see what's on and play what's in front of him. It's quite different for us. No,
it's exciting to see, and then Canterbury really starting to probe here, Dorking on their own defensive sets, equally meeting us, turn the ball over here, which isn't what we want to see, but Canterbury were pushing them left to right, didn't quite find the key to unlock the gate, but here we go. Dorking, not the best exit.
No.
So Canterbury get the line out inside Dorking's 22. So start to build pressure all over again.
Yeah, and I think you're probably going to go for exactly the same thing again in terms of line out. You're probably going to go for middle ball, I guess. The drive's been, generally speaking, okay. The only thing I would like to see slightly better, personally, is that I would like the actual maul itself. Sorry about that. Just
so knock on, knock on from Canterbury, as we were saying that the lineups were going so well.
So yeah, for me, I'd just like to see that maul just a little bit more spearheaded. What's happening there is at the moment they're coming in and they've been able to get round the side. They've been able to get close to where the ball is. They're starting to fracture what's been the actual maul going forward. What I've been speaking to the referees about more recently is that you don't ever, as long as you don't change your initial bind, you can end up anywhere. So if Canterbury started to turn around to the right and you've got a Dorking player there, he doesn't have to move back. If he's still holding on to his initial bind, he's fine to get his hands in there. So it's just something they just need to work on. It's only a small tweak, and I'm sure Corks and the coaching staff have already noticed it. They're bound to be having conversations about it at half time if they're not going to try and get a message on during this half. But it could be a way forward for us.
And this is an absolutely humongous push from the Canterbury scrum there. Dorking get the ball out quickly, but they were going backwards at a rate of knots.
They certainly were.
So now they're switching it across in front of their own post. Canterbury have got them marked man for man in wide coverage. So they're going to have to probably one or two more pushes up the middle, and we might see a bit of an exit kick here. I'm
intrigued there though that so we've got the player down there quite nicely. He's only then got one support player coming over to secure the ball. We had three there. Could have counter-rucked, no?
Yeah, no. Decent exit there from Dorking. So yeah, I don't know if Canterbury, or when you set up before the game, you say we're not going to hit these rucks. We're going to set up in defence. So sometimes you default into your nature of this is how we're going to defend. You don't always play the scenario in front of you, and I think that's unfortunately undone Canterbury there, because the ball was there to be won, but they were going through the motions of working out where they needed to be before, other than looking at the game in front of them.
So another Canterbury line out coming up.
Yeah.
Going to Jamie Stevens. Ball's come back nice. I've got to stop making weird noises. People are going to start picking up on these noises on YouTube and have a Clemmy random noise thing going on.
So the ball's come out quickly to Brick, who couldn't quite gather it. Slightly higher, hit him on the shoulder as the ball came out. Not the cleanest of pass to him, as he's demonstrating to us right now. Unfortunately, ball was adjudged to go forwards, and we go back for another scrum. So far, the scrums have been very good to Canterbury.
Yeah, they certainly have. Looking at the players who have been picked to play today, I did immediately look and think, well, hang on a minute, there's quite a lot of grunt up there in terms of, who's on the pitch and where they're playing. Personally, I think when you bring in a player such as Royce Cadman, your engine is a lot stronger. There's a lot. It's going to sound harsh. There's a lot of weight going at you.
Yeah,
he's a big lad.
He's certainly as a unit is old Royce. He's so that's a decent kick from Dorking there. Oh no, out on the full. Excuse me. I thought it bounced just before, but we're going out on the full. So Canterbury have got the line out on the halfway line here.
It's interesting there because their fly half was in literally trying to claim to the referee and the TJ that it didn't go out in the full. He was quite adamant on that. It must have been close call.
Yeah, nonetheless, Canterbury got the line out just inside Dorking's half. Jamie Stevens goes up, can't quite grab it clean. Canterbury got the ball, Dorking piling over really quickly.
I think Will got it, or is it a turnover there?
No, we've got it. So we're going to punch it up one or two here. 9 was on the floor, so Canterbury are going to punch it up one or two to try and just get themselves set properly.
Nice idea. Penalty all day long, you can see that. So the Dorking player there literally going straight over Frank Reynolds there, just trying to seal off the ball.
Yeah, like a little truffle pig. He just couldn't resist, could he?
No, you certainly can't. Especially not when the prize is that big as well.
Yeah, and Canterbury got a little bit fortunate there. A bit of broken play. We feinted left, feinted right. We weren't really going anywhere, and Dorking have come piling through the middle when perhaps they didn't need to. And now we've got a line out in attacking position. We need to start making these points or positions of play count a little bit more. Start ticking the scoreboard over more regularly.
Yeah, I mean, I may be wrong in saying so. I don't recall Dorking so far being inside our 22.
Yeah, so another loose line-out from Canterbury. Before the game, I was saying it's a pillar of their gameplay this season, and obviously Canterbury showing what an idiot I am. But really good play and defence there from Canterbury. Got the penalty back, so we're right in front of the sticks.
I know what I'd be going for here. Limmers, what about you? Mind you, again, we've had discussions like this before. I think I might be slightly more pragmatic at times.
For me, our line-out hasn't worked as well as it could have done. We're going for the corner here, but this is the wrong call for me. For me, we're scrumming.
Yeah.
All day, every day. We've had the beating of them on the scrum with the ball at 8. So you know what? I don't see that the ref wouldn't put his right hand up and go scrum penalty.
Yeah, I think it might be the right call, to be honest with you. I think
sometimes you have to make the referee make the decision, and if you're pushing them back, you know what? You might be working yourself into that yellow card for the opposition.
Oh yeah, I think you might be right there.
Anyways, really quick, clean ball from Canterbury, and they're starting to set the phases here.
They certainly are. I think my only concern is it is very messy at the breakdown. Nearly at every breakdown, something is going wrong. There's either a call for not rolling away, or
so here we go. So penalty advantage. So that's penalty number 1 on the line.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How many do we go? How many does the ref let go?
Well, it's going to be interesting because, and the reason why I think it's going to be additionally interesting is that I believe, I could be wrong here, but I'm pretty sure the referee has an assessor here today as well.
So here we go. Right, left. Canterbury missed one and back on the inside. It's really interesting play from Canterbury there. Pushing the first pass wide and then dropping it back in on the left-hand shoulder as an inside ball.
And he's played that twice, which suggests to me that that's actually something between worked on the training paddock.
Yeah. So last few weeks, Canterbury haven't been as incisive going forwards as they would want to be. So it looks like Veely, Corker put them aside and thought, you know what? Let's go back to basics. If you've got a man running with the ball straight line, everybody comes to him. It's like a honeypot. So if you're shifting the ball only 2 or 3 meters left or right, all of a sudden you're changing the point of attack and you're really making the defence move, and you're kind of shifting your focus and their focus and trying to get through that gain line.
So you're saying that? Okay. Is it? Yeah, slight change there. I don't know if you could hear it over the tannoy there, but Guy Hilton's just coming off and Max Halliday's coming on. So Max is just going to go straight onto the right wing. Sure.
Yeah. Straight switch there. Max, young lad, he is very, very quick.
Yes. Now
not the biggest lad, not the biggest chap. I think, to be fair, you'd probably eat him for breakfast. But if you give him the ball in open space, he's going to make people look a little bit silly.
Well, then I'm not going to catch my breakfast then, am I?
Yeah. It's whether Canterbury can set up that situation to release him or not.
So we're saying that really, in essence, on a one-on-one situation, that more often than not, we're saying that he should take the player on and go.
Yeah. So on the left-hand wing here, we've got Frankie Morgan, who's going to run over them. On the right wing, we've got a very different player in Max who wants to run round them.
Yeah.
So Canterbury going to step the phases up here again. It'll be interesting to see how they start to control the pace of the game.
Yeah, and it's literally just that one pass away from the ruck each time at the moment. Just setting it up, just trying to bring the defenders of Dorking in until you find the space.
Yeah.
I mean, the option surely now is that it looks like if they went right and quick, there is space out wide for Max there. But again, it's getting that ball, it's getting that look up. The players have got to communicate this, right?
Yeah. So it seems really, from a layman's term, it seems silly, but if you're going one up, one pass out, one in, sort of thing, straight from the ruck, you're sucking the defenders in because people. Here we go. So interrupting there, but go back to what I was saying. If you're sucking the defence in, because the next person has to come in 2 yards to the right to fill the gap. So if you do that 2 or 3 times, all of a sudden you've got 10-15 yard gap on the wing, which is what Canterbury are aiming for. Haven't quite worked it yet, but we're still probing.
Oh, Tommy Best nearly through there.
Yeah.
Those dirty tap tackles. The best tackles in rugby,
go.
but the dirtiest.
Tell you what, Jamie Stevens got the ball right in front of the 6, over his left-hand shoulder. Heard Tommy Best screaming for it. Tommy Best tap tackled unfortunately just in front of the post, but doesn't stop Canterbury. Throw it out wide, and that man again, Frankie Morgan, getting his fill of the meat pies today. That's his second. Tough kick here, Clemmy, though.
Yeah, I mean, slightly closer to the touchline than the first. Again, this at the moment we've not really had the real marine travel ground breeze yet this season, but it is just picking up and swirling around a bit. But in theory, I think Frank would have noticed from the first kick. Should in theory already have made his corrections to where he's going to be placing the ball. Not that I've ever been a kicker, apart from when I was back at school, but for me, I was always setting it on the post furthest away from where I'm kicking. So as we're looking at it here, I'd be looking at the right-hand post. That's why I'm aiming the ball, purely because I naturally curl the ball over, just with the skill that level that I obviously have. But and let the wind do the rest. Let's see what he's done here. Unfortunately, just slipped past the left-hand side post there.
Yeah, not the cleanest of connections. I've got the distance, but didn't do the up and down as you'd expect. So we go again. Canterbury 10-0 up, starting to exert a bit of pressure. I said before the game, I reckon 14 points with the slope. So let's see if we can get to that magic 14 for Canterbury. I haven't got a percentage calculator in front of me, but I would have to say that Canterbury have had a lot of the ball so far.
Yeah.
Which is really tough for Dorking in defence, making tackle after tackle.
Yeah. Now we spoke to Matt Corker. I think it may well have been one of those ones where I had a chat with him when I've been up the club rather than on air. But he was saying that obviously people have been questioning our defence in terms of the fact that we have shipped quite a few tries this year. Me being the sad little so-and-so that I am from time to time, I've gone digging in there. But in terms of, he says, looking for his paper, in terms of tries so far from us this season, we've scored 22. But I recall we've shipped 26. Doesn't sound like we should be always in that losing situation like we have done away from home. But he's saying that the defensive set, is generally speaking, is good. It's just the fact you cannot defend for such long periods of time before the door creaking, the gate opening.
Yeah, so good work from Canterbury there. They forced Dorking wide. So that's what we're saying about the defensive set. So Canterbury up really, really quickly there. They're making Dorking play the passes or play the ball that shouldn't really be played because they're not making the yards. So they're having to try and force it to try and get them a bit of space. And they've gone for the offload there when it wasn't really on, and Canterbury have got a knock on, or Dorking have knocked it on, so Canterbury got the put in here. In defence, as we're going back to say what you're saying there, Clemmy, in defence it is such tiresome work. You've got some big brute running at you at pace from 5-10 yards, whatever it is, and you've got to chop them to the ground. Your teammates have then got to get over, try and counter-ruck, and all of a sudden you're back up on your feet and someone's doing it again from 2 yards away. So if a team are doing that 5, 6, 7, 8 phases, 10 phases, it's really, really sapping for the defensive unit.
Yeah, it certainly is. I mean, I would say that also when you get to that point you are constantly attacking as well, and maybe you're not making the yards that you would like, all of a sudden you probably have that thought process, oh, I'm going to do something really special here. And then you cough the ball up and all of a sudden it turns around on you, right? Yeah,
completely. So if you're not making it over the gain line, when I say gain line is where the ball started from, essentially off where the first tackle was. If you're not making it past that point, all of a sudden you start to panic. I don't know why, it's just a natural thing on the rugby field. Everyone starts to panic and you do things that you wouldn't normally do. And then in this situation here, Canterbury pushed them back. They've gone for an offload that's not there. Strong from Canterbury yet again. Hasn't come out clean.
Referee's not called it there.
No, he put his arm up.
Now he has. That's bizarre, no?
So there's one thing about having a shove on in the scrum.
And mouth. Sorry to interrupt there. Carry on.
There's one thing about having the shove on the scrum. There's another thing about having clean ball. So ideally, as a number 9, what you want is the scrum going as straight as possible, so that the opposition 9 can't get around to get hold of you. So if the scrum goes left or right in any sort of way, it kind of increases or decreases the angle, depending on what side the opposition 9 is, of them getting hold of you.
Right.
So in that situation there, I know we got the penalty, but the scrum had wheeled slightly away from us. So as soon as R9 picked the ball up, he was smothered immediately. So here we go for another line-up for Canterbury. Jamie Stevens hits the air, down and quick. Another pushing maul.
See, the set's much better there.
Yeah.
But again, the moment they start to turn around that corner in that maul, and if you haven't got rid of your original bind, which Dorking haven't, you're now seeing Dorking players at the back. You see, they now can affect where the ball's going.
Yeah. So Canterbury have got rid of it fairly quickly.
Yeah, referee's calling him back there for something. So it's a strange stuff. It almost feels a little bit quiet here today. It almost feels like you're kind of waiting for something to happen. I know we're 10 points to the good up. We are going downhill. We've had the lion's share of possession, but it all feels almost subdued.
Yeah, I would say that it's a little bit, Jesse. It's a little bit subdued out here today. I don't know if it was the weather, the early morning rain put people off, but yeah, so a little bit quiet despite Canterbury ascendancy. Dorking have done very well at stifling any continuous play, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, I think it does. Maybe that's the case. Maybe the fact Dorking are actually doing a better job than we think, which is actually subduing the crowd and stopping Canterbury from getting any real, momentum.
Yeah, good.
I was going to say they'll be on the front foot, but they have been throughout most of the game, in all seriousness. But it's that momentum, isn't it?
So we've got a Dorking put in at the scrum here, and what we have seen at the scrum so far this half is that it's been very, very dominant to Canterbury. And they've got a real strong shove on. We've mentioned before we've got some heavy boys in the pack. So we're expecting to see Dorking probably get the ball out, but it'll be interesting to see how much of a shove Canterbury can really get pushed on. So Dorking get the ball quickly, 8 pick and go down the blind side. It looks like they've just stepped outside the 22, so that means they can't kick it straight into touch. They're going to have to start playing a little bit here. Ball's come squirting out the side of the rock there. I'm not really sure what's happened, but Dorking have mopped it up quite efficiently, and they go again.
There's been a fair few changes here and there, I think, from what I can see, and I didn't hear our announcer say earlier, but I'm pretty sure Royce Cadman is already off the field. Is that right?
Yeah, I can't see his luscious blonde locks out there, but so it wasn't the best kick in out from Dorking there, and Frankie Reynolds has got it just and set Rory Howard off. Danny Harriott now popping the ball up over his right hand shoulder. Phase after phase from Canterbury. I didn't see Royce Cadman go off, but now you're saying it, he's quite obviously not on the pitch.
Oh, Jamie Stevens.
Breakthroughs one, gets up and rolls.
El Capitano doing what he does best.
Yeah, Canterbury looking for a little bit of clean ball here. Frankie Morgan.
Oh, he's on it. He's on. Ah, called back.
The defence stopped. They knew it.
Frankie Morgan, do you think he knew it?
He didn't want to admit it. The reaction of Frank Reynolds at 10, he wasn't happy about the call.
But then, let's be honest, fly halves tend not to be happy about any call.
Yeah, good point, well made. So Dorking have shown us this season that they've gone close and gone deep in a few games. They've taken Sevenoaks to the edge.
Yep.
Good side. They drew with them.
Away to Barnes, they won by a point.
Yep, they lost within 20 points to Blackheath, which is a feat in itself.
Yeah, it feels like it might be this season. I mean, that was the first game of the season for them. I remember chatting to their team manager, a gentleman called Ian Dunning from Blackheath, and he said, in all seriousness, it was a Hail Mary pass that they'd thrown out for Dorking's second try in particular, which gave them the actual score which they got. He said otherwise there wasn't much in essence. He didn't think there was much from them. But I think what we have found is they don't obviously played Rochford 100, who would be really classed as one of maybe the weaker sides in the league.
Yeah, certainly.
So it's a bit hit and miss, but they are sitting third in the league. You're not going to sit third in the league if you haven't done some good stuff.
No, exactly. So it's really down to Canterbury to put them through their paces today, if they can. and now another scrum to Dorking inside their own half. Canterbury will get a shove on here, as they have done on all scrums.
It looks like they've set fairly conservatively here, Dorking. They've got the 2 out on the side there, but they're clearly going to go to the left-hand side, which they have done.
Yeah, each time it looks like that it's going to be an 8 pick and go from them. I'm not sure whether that's planned or it's that they can't get clean ball back out to the 9 quick enough with the shove that's coming back against them. But they're still playing inside or in and around their own 22, which is not somewhere that you want to be playing rugby.
No.
So it looks like they're building for an exit ball here.
Yeah, most certainly they're setting themselves up for it. This time it's the scrum half with the kick rather than going back to the 10.
And that's a great take by
Wow.
Canterbury's number 9 there. He picked that one out of nowhere.
That was not easy, especially when you've got Frank Marauding Morgan steaming at you at the same point.
Yes, exactly. And now so Canterbury starting to launch attack.
Oh, that's a
They
cracking
found Max
pick-up.
out on the wing.
Oh, hello.
He's been found, he's been lifted, and that one's going to hurt. But Canterbury, more importantly, have still got the ball. They're in Dorking's half again.
Tommy Best literally looking, a nice straight arm there from Tom. He'll always tend to take the tougher option, Tom Best. Not in terms of that he's not intelligent on the field, but it's more of a case of I think he actively likes the hit.
Yeah, Tommy Best. He's a seasoned pro up here, and just loves contact. As Canterbury go through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 phases, the 6th was forced a little bit there. Didn't need to go, but
well, I was actually just going to say
story of the
that.
half, perhaps.
Yeah, I was going to say it to you, Limus. I mean, that's what you discussed just a moment ago. It was about that. In fact, of why force if it's not there.
Yeah, we've seen that from both teams a little bit this half. So the half-time whistle draws to an end. So we're 10-0 to Canterbury at the half.
And obviously, just to mention, we're streaming here with MMS 360 Media. And I've got to say, I was chatting to a couple of the Dorking fans earlier on. I do get out there, I do chat to other people rather than just people who enjoy the gold and black or amber and black, which depending what colour you want to call our yellowish tinge. And they were saying that they're very interested in the whole thought process of our live stream because they haven't got their normal tweeting guy here today, so they put it out there to 2,500 of their members. So we might get some decent hits today from doing this streaming. But I think it's something that not many other clubs are even looking at doing at the moment. But I think it's something which some people are saying if you're live streaming, you're losing people coming through the gate. But I don't think it is. I think it's actually just giving you another option, trying to actually give you a bigger audience. No.
Yeah, well, firstly, to anyone that is watching from Dorking, welcome down to the Merton Lane ground. I hope you're enjoying the stream today. Secondly, yeah, you're correct. I don't think that anybody who's watching at home is not coming to the ground. You're getting family members, friends, colleagues, people from all around the country that perhaps can't make the journey today. Health, work, whatever. You know what it is.
Yeah.
They're tuning in and they're watching from wherever they are, and that's only a bonus, surely, to the clubs. As we've said before, normally on away games, Canterbury rely on Twitter feeds as well.
Yes.
As a Dorking, that's what I said today, they can't make it. But imagine if every team at this level or beyond, from the Championship down, started live streaming their games. It would be a revelation to all away fans.
Well, it's interesting because I want to pick up the reason why I come down this kind of questioning is I was speaking to the Dorking president and obviously our president as well earlier on today, and we were talking about what's happened to Worcester, what's happened to Wasps in the last couple of weeks. And more importantly, I was picking up on a statement that Will Greenwood had said about the ins weren't matching the outs, and saying that ultimately the rugby that we're watching now is getting better and better and better. He said, but the numbers just don't stack up. So there's just not enough people watching this game.
Yeah.
But it's an inclusive game. This is what frustrates me. And again, I'm certainly not knocking any other sport. I'm not knocking football, but football does have the lion's share of what we get to see in the UK. And again, for me, rugby is a really inclusive sport. And you kind of start looking, going, what more can they possibly try and do to get the numbers through the doors? Because you don't want to change the game. you don't want the game to become like just purely a sevens game, or there's the tens game, isn't there? Was there a thought process about a 12?
Yeah, there were talks of 12s, of an international circuit of 12s. But you say that, so today, for anyone who's watching early this morning, it was England women's game in the Rugby World Cup. England, bizarrely, I don't understand, number 2 ranked team in the world.
Even though they've won 27 now.
Yeah.
27
so
tests
26 games in a row before going today, playing against France, number 1 ranked team in the world. This is a World Cup fixture held in New Zealand, the home of rugby. Anyone who watched the game today could see that the stadium was, I would say half full would be doing it a disservice, because there was 2 men and their dog there today, really, to be honest. And I guess that it's not just a UK-wide problem. When you're looking at issues like that, you've got 2 of the best teams in the world in women's rugby going head-to-head in a World Cup situation, and you can't give away tickets. So I don't know whether, obviously, at this level, clubs have got to kind of just copy what's going on at international level, because we can't reinvent the wheel at this level. We're not cricket, we're not the IPL. So it's really interesting to see how teams at the top level are going to try and reinvent themselves in terms of a commercial aspect, because there's the whole point of going for a day of rugby where you get the people in, blah blah blah. If you go to Saracens, they've got this artificial pitch. After the game, they open the pitch. You can go out and play. The kids run around and do whatever they want on there. So maybe that's the point. You've got to make a day of it. I'm not involved with the commercial aspect, but it's got to change to get people. It's bums on seats, isn't it, Clemmy?
Yeah, it certainly is. And what really frustrated me was when we talk about rugby in particular. Again, we also have obviously the other sports. Obviously, like we have Wimbledon, for example, in the UK as well, and we also have the cricket. But when there is the World Cup on, or there's the European Championships of football, and that's on, every supermarket has the flags flying inside the store. There's this World Cup promotion, there's this European. Grab these beers along with this burger to have whilst you're watching your game. You've got a Rugby World Cup going on right now. There's nothing in stores. Good point well made. It's the other side of the world. I'm not saying it derogatorily, it's the women's game, which doesn't attract as many fans, so maybe that's the reason. One thing I would suggest is, though, is there really the trickle-down effect from the England RFU that we really want to see? You watch a game at Twickenham, England have got the Saffers this year, £140 entry price for a ticket. Twickenham's going to be sold out. Yeah.
Okay, so obviously that money's got to go somewhere. We've got to play Owen Farrell, we've got to play the rest of the gang. But come on, like 2 clubs have gone bust in the Premiership this year.
Yeah.
Well, this month, this week.
So
where's the money going?
So it's interesting, because if the money's... So people will question that and say, where's the money going now? We know already that there's definitely been a reduction in terms of what you get down as you go down the lower levels, and I believe it has been reduced again subsequently. But if we don't have a decent second tier of rugby, do we think that's where part of the problem is? Because now we look at football, and you've got the Premiership, you've got the Championship. Both get lots of airplay. In terms of all those teams they get, there is a lot of money being spent. But when we talk about the Championship, when do you ever get to see a live Championship game? Because you don't, do you?
Okay.
You don't.
Okay. Yeah, I agree.
So could we build a better second tier?
I don't think we see enough live Premiership games. To be honest, we don't have on terrestrial TV. Well, we do, but it's not prime time on terrestrial TV coverage of rugby enough, in my opinion. And that's what's going to grow the game. It's all well and good having the money at the top, but it's also the grassroots level. So teams like Canterbury here today, Dorking, who've invested a lot of money, both of them combined over the last 18 months. Really, really good to see building the foundations for the future. We know firsthand that Canterbury have got kids coming out their ears, which is great to see for the mini youth section. Unfortunately, I haven't done my research like you about Dorking, but sorry, I'm sure that they've got a similar setup. So it's good to see that there is that there for the future.
Yeah.
It's just about the here and now and how we capitalise on it.
And I suppose they'd be concerned about perhaps going too big, too quick, and then almost getting rid of the community feel that what Dorking will have and what we'll have. Because obviously Dorking have got a myriad of teams, same as Canterbury, in terms of going down the age groups.
Yeah, no, completely. So It's just about, I guess, from the top down, getting that structure right. With the money, with the TV, with the coaching, with the refereeing, the RFU have got to really start to put the feelers out there and push what they have down to the lower levels.
Yeah.
Because if it's not there, you can't have England, or you can't have Ireland or Wales, whoever it is. You can't have that home nation competing at a top level without a structure underneath it to keep it sustainable.
Yeah. Let's go away from the thought process of what's happening outside financially. Let's talk about somebody who actually didn't play to structure, didn't play the normal way in which they would have done something completely different today. Tyler Oliver. So, first try.
Yeah.
I was expecting, he's got the ball, he's just inside the channel, there's one player on, he's going to step over him, and the bloke's going to get the old classic Adidas line of his studs all the way up his body as he rumbles in for the try. But today what he's done is he stepped inside onto his right and then given the ball. Something completely different from Tyler.
Smart play. Really, really smart play from him out there. As a ball carrying number 8, you see your opposition, a winger, and you think, you lick your lips and go, I'm going over him. But what he's done is really, really smart there. He's taken the ball in two hands, shimmied one way, popped the ball the other, and all of a sudden Frankie's running in under the post, and it's a try for Canterbury. So really good to see. It's not always about brute force. Sometimes it's about just using your brain a little bit. That Tyler proved right there.
So he was playing just a little bit of cute rugby, really, wasn't it? It's, again, something which you don't normally expect. So maybe that's the case that, obviously, when in that particular scenario, is that Dorking probably would have looked at game footage. Again, even at this level, everybody has multiple opportunities to get game footage. Now, that's something which you have done quite well in terms of they've got this thing called the Elite Hub, and each team has to upload all of their video footage from the game, and obviously then other teams can download it, they can pick through it, so they can obviously try and, in essence, prepare themselves for the game in front of them. Could it be said then that maybe they're automatically, that winger's going, hang on a minute, I've seen footage, I know what he's going to do, and so Tyler's just played something different?
Yeah, possibly, very possibly. Or equally, the winger's seen a number 8 barraging down the channel at him, thinking, I know what number 8s do here. He's going to try and run over me, and the winger's done what every winger should. He's committed to where the ball was and tried to chop him down.
Yeah.
It's almost like a head between the spokes of a bicycle wheel, and just try and slow him down a little bit.
Well, I'm concerned the fact that you put no, you're trying to tell me there then that you put your head in between spokes.
I certainly haven't. As anyone who's played with me will tell you, that I certainly don't do that. I'm like, yeah, your man. But that's what should be done. But anyway, so we'll divert away from my tackling technique and back onto the field of players. Both teams are starting to join us here.
I'm sure we'll come back to that though later.
Yeah.
Because I can say it's probably I think it's one of my new favourite ones from you. I might even have to write that one down and use it in the future.
Yeah. So here we go. Canterbury coming up the hill this half. Dorking coming out not as eagerly as Canterbury. I'm sure they've had a dressing down at half time.
Yeah. Yes.
It's never a nice place to be. No points on the board. That it's not about being down, it's about no points on the board, which is a real tough position to be in.
I think it's going to be interesting. Again, we were talking about, so beforehand, before the game kicked off, we were talking about the fact that we would be looking at roughly 14 points being a fairly decent advantage when you play the slope here at Canterbury. Just a little bit shy of those 14, so it's 10 points to 0 up at the present time. So we're going to see how this second half goes. Sun's baking down now here a bit. Dorking have kicked off, ball's gone straight to Tyler Oliver, who's actually done exactly what we have been saying he didn't do in the first half, going straight out of play and running through two players. Canterbury looking to play quick. With some great hands here between Al Evans and Aaron Cooper. Canterbury have gone from their own 22 now to around about 5 metres away from the 22 of Dorking. The ball has come out wide. It's with Tommy Best, who stepped inside, and he's looking for the offload. No one there at the moment, so we're just going to go through the phases and set this up. Nice quick ball from the back of the ruck. Frankie Reynolds going inside, Harry Andrews, but unfortunately, there's been a knock on. He's played, ball's gone in front of the player, sorry, not a knock on. It's a forward pass there. But that was some fantastic play there from Canterbury. Real energy right from the word go. It's as if they've been told, boys, we have not thrown a punch yet. It's the time to get out there and do it. Cracking clearance from the Dorking number 10, who's got them marching down around about 40 yards back down the slope here. But it's a really great start from Canterbury. Very impressed. Lots of ingenuity and a thought process to actually play and play and play. Great start. Now Limmers, that bit of play there, I mean Canterbury have literally just gone from their 22 up to nearly the Dorking 22 from pure, unadulterated confidence, I would say.
Yeah, it's what happens when you get your, I guess you get your tail up, get your feathers up behind you, turn up at half time. Really, they've got a lot of belief in the boys. It's really good to see.
Yeah.
So Dorking coming right to left here quite quickly. Canterbury following the ball pretty well. Smothered it up a little bit, and they're going to put him out. The ball squirted out there. I thought it was going to be a line-up for Canterbury. The ball squirts out, and the arm goes up to the ref.
Yeah, unfortunately, you were literally just off air there. When it's one of those classic scenarios where you want to have someone to chat to, but they've gone from this 22. So we just spoke about Brick Oliver, Tyler Oliver, or affectionately known as Brick, not doing what he normally does. From the kick-off, collects it straight away, runs through two players, doesn't do the unknown Brick thing. The ball gets set up, then you have two wonderful hands between Alex Evans and Aaron Cooper, which then steamrolls us nearly 40 yards up the pitch for us to then unfortunately give a forward pass, which obviously then Dorking have got the ball and cleared down to the halfway line. But it's as if Corker said, boys, come out, bloody well play.
Yeah, no, really put a rocket up their arse, which is sometimes what you need. You don't want any complacency out there.
Oh, okay.
So then Max Halliday, two quick steps in there, and Canterbury have got clean ball inside Dorking's half, and then the right arm goes up from the referee, another penalty Canterbury's way.
Yeah, and that's the first time I've seen actually Max in a little bit of space there. Yeah, he's quick.
Yeah, no, he's a very quick boy. The penalty count against Dorking is starting to stack up a little bit here, and they might want to be a little bit conscious of that.
I mean, now you've got to be looking at Frank Reynolds here, and he's going to be looking at trying to slot it, maybe about 10 yards away from the goal line, perhaps.
Gone a bit conservative, but it doesn't matter overly because Canterbury got the ball.
Yeah.
So that's the main thing. In other news, reports from the pitch behind us that the Frees are 22-5 up at half time as well. So looking a good day all round for Canterbury at the moment.
At the present time.
So anyway, Canterbury go deep, but the just slightly overthrown.
Not often you get to see a hooker kick the ball.
Yeah, and annoyingly, it's a very, very good kick as well. It's died straight on the dead ball line.
Oh, do behave. Is that Max Halliday again?
Yeah. Did I tell you he was quick, Clemmy?
No, I don't recall that.
So, yeah, Max Halliday gets back and cleans the ball up beautifully, steps one, steps two. And all of a sudden, Canterbury, who looked like they were going to be in trouble, have got a bit of ball in open space as Canterbury we start to break through one or two more tackles here.
That's clever play by their hooker there, the Dorking hooker, just slowing the ball up with his tackle there. Very good. Oh, that looks like a late hit there from their number 5.
Yeah, Tommy Best on the spot and
happy. But Aaron Cooper.
Yeah, boss, see you later, 15. Thank you for coming.
Go on, Coops. Out
So
wide there are
Ross
numbers.
Howard
You've got to
pops it out
play
to
it
Max.
close.
He's going to burn him on the outside. Oh, see you, thank you.
2, go on, Frank. Now get with him.
Yeah, it's a really exciting play from Canterbury. It's not just going out one outside runners, it's moving the ball, moving the point of contact.
Ooh.
And as we say that, Canterbury have gone one too many and knocked the ball on in contact a little bit there. However, gotten away with it, Clemmy.
Yeah, certainly I've got away for it. I apologise to anyone who is listening and they're hearing random noises, and stuff like that from me. I can't help it. It's what happens when I watch rugby. But that just means what Canterbury are doing now is they're actually playing with a little bit of flair, which is not something we've not seen for a little while from them.
No, it's not. And you normally only see that from a team that's confident. And so it's nice to see that there is a bit of confidence flowing amongst the boys because they're a good team. They've got some good players. They just need to believe in themselves. Dorking have come here today, and equally, you would say that they should be believing in themselves. But Canterbury's defence and the way they've played have really shut them down early doors and not allowed them to play.
No, they certainly have. And it really is great to see. I mean, when you watch rugby, you want to see something special happening. And I think what's happened here in the beginning of the second half is very simple. Brick started it all off with a great collect from the actual kickoff. He's run through 2 players, and we're on the forward foot, on the front foot. Subsequently from that, Max Halliday's got those hands on the ball twice, and he's made yards. And what's happened is that the fans are now going, hang on a minute, let's go again. Their excitement gets heightened as well, which then gives, obviously, our team the confidence to play.
Yeah, great future for Canterbury as well. Tyler and Max as well. Still got plenty of years left in them, so it'll be exciting to see how they progress with us.
Oh, knock on there, unfortunately, by Tommy Best.
So as dominant as Canterbury scrum was in the first half, they couldn't get any forward movement then, and Dorking have got the ball back.
Good tackle by Max there on the opposing winger, Austin Emmons.
Ball squirts free out the back.
Knock on again there, isn't it, from Canterbury there? I think as he went to collect the ball. The Dorking winger in space, he's looking inside. It's been tipped back by Al Evans, who has collected the ball back up. Can't see the referee's not put his arm up for anything, so it must just be pure play now.
It's sneaked out the back. So they're calling the physio on immediately there. I can't see that's down for Canterbury. The Dorking player, the Dorking winger immediately called it. Yeah, Max Halliday the Dorking winger was immediately calling for the physio for Canterbury to get out there and assist him. So there's hope it's nothing too serious.
Very different start to the half compared to the start from the last one. I mean, again, lots of possession from Canterbury in the beginning of both halves. But completely different kind of mindset, thought process, and how to play. Originally, first half, very pragmatic, go through the phases, play to type. Second half, all of a sudden, you're throwing balls left, you're throwing balls right. Really interesting.
Yeah, no, it's exciting to see. They're not resting on their laurels here. Maybe learned something from a few home games ago against TJs where they burnt out, and so now they're just looking to really take the game to Dorking, and hopefully, ideally, that what they want to do is get 1 or 2 quick scores and kill it off. However, that hasn't gone to plan, and Dorking have got the ball in Canterbury's 22.
Yeah.
So it's going to be an interesting defensive set here.
Yeah, you're going to want to hope that the pack get a decent shove on to start off with. Put Dorking on the backward step. I fear that Dorking, they will, without a shadow of doubt, must have some form of play in place for this. I remember chatting to Corker about the Worthing game, and
so
that's depressing. And okay, first phase straight off the scrum.
So the ball comes out the back of the scrum, and he runs at his opposition man, and unfortunately breaks straight through. So the half's a deficit, so 10-5 now. Let's see how the kick goes. All of a sudden, the domination from Canterbury in the first half could count for nothing if there's only a 3-point gap.
Yeah, you're then looking at those the conversions, and they're not going over. But again, their number 10 is going to have to deal with the same win now. So let's hope that he hasn't got the ability to correct what unfortunately didn't quite go well for Frankie Reynolds in the first half. But yeah, I mean, you're looking at it when you're going 8-2 tries to 1. If he does convert, there's only 3 points of difference. So, yeah, this could smart a little bit. It's a nice strike of the ball. He's hit the post also.
Yeah, how many times do you see the ball strike the upright off a conversion?
Well, I can tell you, twice.
Yeah, exactly. So far we've seen it twice in one day. So it'll be interesting to see how Canterbury bounce back here, because they really need to take it back to Dorking to get themselves back in the game.
Yeah, and the way in which they started the second half, I'd expect them to start exactly the same again. Lots of energy, be confident and play. I was listening to a podcast during last week, the High Performance podcast.
Sorry to interrupt there. That is a great kick and chase.
Cracking pick.
Yeah, unfortunately a slight knock on there, but great distance on the kick from Frankie, and Jamie Stevens leapt like a salmon and pulled that one out of the air. Sorry to interrupt there, Chloe.
No,
Go back to where you were.
So, the podcast is called the High Performance Podcast, and they were talking to a gentleman called General the Lord Richard Dannett, who used to be the head of the British Army. And they said to him, they always ask the question to all their guests in terms of what does that person define as high performance? And he came up with these 3 things. He said one was to aim high, B was to be the best that you can be, and C was confidence is key. And that's been sticking with me for the last couple of weeks in terms of when I do my own coaching outside of Canterbury, but also on the pitch here. It's almost as if that the confidence is key here, because when Canterbury are playing like that, good things happen.
Yeah, no, completely. So, decent exit there from Dorking. The bounce has gone their way, and they've got it just outside Canterbury's 22. So Canterbury are going to have the line-up put in, but they're deep within their own half, going up the hill. Tough place to be.
Yeah. I mean, the options in the line-out are fairly limited, aren't they, at the moment? Because Royce isn't back on the pitch at the moment. You very rarely will put anybody else up there, do you? Really?
Well, Jamie Stevens is probably the number one jumper. Yeah. Canterbury have lost the ball there. Dorking have just turned it over. They're probing right to left, spinning the ball really quick here.
It's a good line from their number 13. Canterbury slowing up at the breakdown. This is not quick ball, which is great. It's not ideal for any scrum half. You want quick ball.
Yeah, so Dorking going through the phases here, just in front of the post for Canterbury, and they're coming again.
Oh, that was fortunate.
Yeah. So
I'm not going to say lucky, because remember we've had that discussion. I don't think the word luck is. There is no real luck in life.
No.
It's either poor technique or good technique. But I'm going to use the word fortunate instead.
No. I said I thought the feeling of the first half was that both teams were trying to force one pass too many, and I think that's replicated there. Perhaps it didn't need to go, but we've been called back for a penalty advantage for Dorking. So perhaps they were pushing it because they knew that they had this in the bank. I didn't see the arm go up from a free, but here we go. So they've got their line out just on Canterbury's 22. Be interesting to see what they go for here. Clemmy, what are you doing? I'm hitting my middle man and pushing hard from a maul. What are you doing?
I'll go front ball, really quick up.
Oh yeah, sorry, I'm right. Middle ball pushing for the maul, but yeah.
Well, I think I can't do anything more now. I think I need to just walk away.
So Canterbury have sewed it up really well here.
I think the reason why I generally was speaking when we go for a front ball is because that gives me something to do as a loose head. It means I can actually lift rather than trundle around.
Just get involved a little bit. So it's impressive to see from Canterbury here that the defensive line is still spread pretty wide. Dorking aren't asking too many questions as of yet.
No, they're going in their little pods, aren't they? The little 2 pods.
Yeah.
Again, just one pass out, going again.
Referee's arm goes up there.
They're changing, they've set for something. It's hard to see down here because at the angle that we're at now, being at the top end of the pitch, we can't quite see exactly what's going on at the bottom there.
So it looks like it's held up down there, but then we're going to come back. We're going to come back for the original arm up in the air from the referee, and Dorking will have another reset. So we're going to reset with a scrum here, just to the right. Well, Canterbury's right hand side of the post, to the left of the post as we're looking at them. Important scrum here for Canterbury.
Yeah, I think the scrum has been a little bit underpowered now without Royce being on the pitch. Personally, we've also got Danny Harriott off as well.
Haven't had the same traction that they had going down the hill in the first half, but let's see how we go here.
Dorking set ball out wide. Again, forcing it though there, Limmers. As you keep saying, you keep picking up on it. Both teams are playing something which isn't on.
Yeah, so Canterbury get lucky, the ball squirts out and they've got the line out here. I don't know whether it's that neither team out here today has really found their groove. We haven't seen repetitive open flowing rugby. Every time we see one or two phases of excitement, someone pulls the trigger when they shouldn't do, and we get in a situation like that where the ball gets knocked on. But good news for Canterbury.
Yeah.
So we're actually going back for a scrum, as I'm sure you can all see. Knock on from Dorking, that's what we're called back for.
Canterbury ball in. The scrum's not going anywhere just yet. Pick up from, looks like Brick is still playing at 8. He hasn't reverted round to 6.
So we're going to have an exit ball here from Canterbury. Let's see.
That's fairly decent.
Yeah.
They played quick though.
They've gone quick, and they've just got the ball on the halfway line here with their 15. Who goes to kick, shanks it on the fall, I would suggest. Oh no, touch judge says no. And Canterbury have the line out just inside their own 22.
I'm guessing here that we may well be having another change to the Canterbury front row as Billy Young's come back down here just to warm up.
Yeah, stretching out just in front of us here.
He's been here with us in what, 3 years or 4 now? 3, Billy.
Yeah.
Or is it less than that actually?
Maybe around that time. Don't quote me on it. You're the encyclopedia.
Oh,
Clemmy.
I don't know about that.
So
all I know is he came from Blackheath.
Yeah,
I can definitely tell you that.
A couple of changes for Dorking here as well.
Replacements on the bench for Dorking. Mikey McDonald. And Andrew Ramsden.
So Canterbury win their line-up ball pretty quickly. They're jumping at the front man, Jamie Stevens. Canterbury get a decent shove on. Going to look for probably for a quick exit ball here.
I see the ball's nice at the back there.
Yeah.
No truck and trailer at the moment, which is decent. But my concern is that the ball carrier's getting a little bit too close to the Dorking line. Frank Mills with a little chip through grubber free. You don't see that too often. It's great to see.
Yeah, not my cup of tea in that area, but it's worked beautifully for Canterbury. And now Ross Howard brings the ball up to the halfway line, gets absolutely nailed.
Got nailed, but he did come back into traffic.
Yeah, exactly. But where support play was, and all of a sudden, from Canterbury having the line out just inside their own 22, we're probing the halfway line here. Frankie wrapped up just inside Canterbury's half.
You know what you're going to get from Brick. He's going to get done for holding on, though. Yep. Just got caught on the wrong side.
Yeah. Fortunately, not quick. The support player wasn't quick enough there to clear out the first rockers from Dorking, and referee's right hand goes up and penalty to them.
Conservative also from their fly half there, Harry Ainscombe.
Yeah, they're inside Canterbury's 22 though. That's the main thing that they'll be thinking about. They are in a real dangerous attacking position.
This is when you now want the wind to really kick up just as he's about to throw.
Yeah, a strong gust, and all of a sudden it goes sideways. So the score is still 10-5 here, Clemmy. It's getting pretty close.
Yeah, it's for want of a better phrase, squeaky bum time almost.
Yeah, no, exactly. So it might come down to the boot.
Yeah, it may well.
But anyway, so Canterbury have got the ball, and going through the phases as we have done so many times this half.
It does feel that we're very mindful of the fact of kicking uphill, and also with the wind slightly going into our faces, that we're not kicking so much. We're actually trying to run more.
Yeah, no, completely. So it's working.
Yeah,
I have to say it is working somewhat. Yeah, good. What have you done, Royce?
Nothing. Just
people don't like you anymore.
Yeah. So just
called back there.
Stepped into touch. So we were saying we thought Royce might have been hooked off for an injury, but we were just hearing from him, the man himself, part of the game plan to change things up. But
so Dorking again now probing again. At the present time, it seems to be a lot of time down in the Canterbury half. We don't seem to be relieving the pressure for too much.
No, that's disconcerting as we suggested earlier, how hard it is to work in defence, just how much it really saps out of you. But as we say that, Canterbury turn the ball over again. Which
I'm beginning to realise, Limmers, that the moment we say anything, the opposite happens.
Yeah, no.
Do we play devil's advocate and say something negative about Canterbury for it to be a positive?
No, let's not try and be too clever.
At the moment, in this half in particular, I'm beginning to see this Austin Emmons, which is the left winger for Dorking. He seems to be getting on the ball a lot more.
Yeah, I think he grabbed a couple of tries for them last week, having a look at the scorecard as well. So, in a decent bit of form. They obviously back him, and when he gets the ball, he looks a little bit dangerous as well.
Yeah, certainly does. That's a lovely offload there from their number 20 who's come on.
Yeah, the replacement has come on
I think.
for them. Yeah. So there's a little bit of broken play here. They recycle it from the right hand side to the left.
The numbers are right there though for Canterbury.
Great. That was a big hit from Canterbury there. Unfortunately, couldn't quite get over the tackle as quickly as they would have wanted. And as they start to spin it out wide here, they go one-on-one for the man coverage. Canterbury do well to sweep over and make the tackle. And they're still going to go down this blind side.
Got to make it good.
Do you remember I told you in the first half there's two types of wingers? There's the ones that are going to run around you, and there's the ones that are going to run over you. And Frankie Morgan is the one that's going to run over you. So I'm not sure what their opposite man was thinking there.
Yeah.
But anyway, so the ball's held up right on the edge of Canterbury's 22. Dorking go again. Quick play, popped off the floor there. And then they've gone one past too many, and they've offloaded it straight back into the black and amber.
Ooh, now come on now, Canterbury. Don't be playing there.
Tommy Best with a little bit of sweeping play. Just tidies it up a little bit for Canterbury. A man down for Dorking. So it's 15 on 14 here for Canterbury in the open play.
Referee stopped it purely because of the Dorking player down.
Yeah, it must be a bit of a serious one. He looks a little bit out of it. So, Water Boys are coming on. A few words from the coaches, I imagine, as well. Scoreline still 5 points in it.
What would you be saying then? So you're Corker at the moment. The boys have gone on. What's the message over to the players right now?
Keep calm. Keep calm. The boys are doing the basics really, really well. Don't get too excited. When we get too excited is when we're pushing it one too many. We're doing things that we shouldn't do. Revert back to basics. Change the angle of attack. Believe in yourself. Yeah, that's what the boys really need. They need to believe in themselves. When they do, they get their tails up, and we've seen it out there. They can execute it. Yeah. That little extra bit of flair, that little bit of skill, and it is coming off. Yeah. Keep working hard in defence, as they're doing. Around the fringes, work really hard. Get up. Don't be lazy. We've got plenty of replacements on the bench who can come on and help out if need be. Yeah. So all the boys have really got to work their socks off to make sure that Canterbury get the win today. That's what I would say, Clemmy. Yeah. So what would you say?
You know what? There's not much more. I definitely think that the best statement there, as you said there, was just to keep calm. Back the process, isn't it? Really.
I remember the year that Canterbury came second in that too, and obviously won the playoff that year. They get games like this. There would be no question that that they wouldn't see the game out because they were confident, they were composed, they knew what to do. They need to revert back to that. They need to find that in themselves again to be 5 points up and be confident enough to close the game out.
Yeah.
So big scrum here. Brick picks the ball up, makes the break. Quickly covered. You see the black and amber swarming out to the left-hand side here.
Yeah. Certainly, there'll be no doubt be going in their little pods of two, latching on, just trying to suck in some Dorking players. I'm imagining you're then going to be looking for the easy exit. The one concern is for me is just you don't want to be stuck down in your half for much longer. We need to get that ball into their half now, just to relieve it, just a little bit of that pressure.
Yeah, it would be nice to see some gameplay up the top of the hill for a little bit. it doesn't change physically where you're defending, 'cause you're still having to make hits, you're still having to make tackles. But psychologically, when you're not on your back line, it does make a big difference.
Next goes to James Captain to come on for Dorking.
I don't think people really realise, a lot of people realise, in terms of when we're watching rugby, how much pressure it really is on you when you're 5 yards away from your own try line. And you're going, you've just got to make that tackle. The pressure is immense because you're thinking, if I don't do it, they're in. If I don't do it, they're in. And that mindset just keeps to picks on you.
Yeah. So we're going to see line up from Dorking here. They've gone up early, down quick.
Juggled it and down.
Yeah. So they're going to be looking to punch into this right-hand corner here.
Numbers are set pretty well over there, though.
It's a little bit slow from them, I have to say. They're not, by the time they're getting ball out the back, it's not overly clean.
Not releasing.
Yeah, Tommy Best went in there, grabbed the ball, not releasing. The attacking play from Dorking needed to hit the floor. That means the tackle's been made, the tackle has to release. Unfortunately, Tommy Best saw the ball and couldn't resist.
It's a tough one because I always feel that, particularly with the no release, some referees give you an extra couple of seconds where others don't. And I think on that one in particular, I think he might have been slightly hard done by. I don't think there was a lot of time for him to release that quickly. But again, very different for me to look. Referees have a really tough job refereeing rugby compared to refereeing football.
So interesting to see there. Dorking have gone for the front, just chucked it in straight at the short, 5 metres. And they're going to try and set something up here. It's got to be a set play, surely.
You'd imagine there is a plan to it. There's a huge amount of space between their midfield, though, and the winger really out wide here on the left, which kind of suggests to you that they're not going to do anything other than go for the little one pass and pop through.
And so, so they've found an extra yard of space there and really putting Canterbury back on their back foot as they're driving towards the try line.
You can't call that.
Held up. So this is a real changer to the game over the last few years, isn't it? Now the goal line dropout.
Hate it. You know what? I think every game when we get one of these, and you're gonna mention it, I'm gonna say it. I hate it. I hate it.
It's changed the way that you play slightly because a goal line dropout means that you're kicking the ball back to the opposition who are going to be charging at you before you even know anything about it. Which isn't a bad thing because obviously the opposition have been held up over the goal line, so they deserve to be rewarded for having the attacking play.
Yeah.
But as a defensive unit, it's an absolute nightmare.
It's just the kick itself. It's where do you go? Do you go to the left wing? Do you go to the right wing, or do you just punt it straight down the middle? You've got to be making sure that your kicker has got the distance, the range, which means most of the time it is normally going within the middle section of the pitch.
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot tougher to try and hit out on the angle. But it's about then that kick, and it's about the chase. It's about the wall which comes up with you. If that is splintered, that's when you've got the problem. Because you spoke about that, I think, when we had the pre-season game. What happens when you've got that splintered defensive line?
Yeah, so here we go. It's a decent distance from Frankie, just outside the 22. It's gone backwards there. Slight juggling from Dorking. Canterbury up really, really well here. Did well. They were fortunate from Dorking not making the most of their space.
Absolutely.
So now Dorking pushing it out to the wing, the 8 stepping back in.
It's a good line from that 8 there, stepping back in and attacking that shoulder.
Yeah, no, it is, and it's paid dividends, made a few yards.
So really, in essence, then we can say then from that one, that's a positive gain of about 25, 30 metres for Canterbury from the kick.
Yeah, really, really slow. So decent kick from Frankie. Impressive chase as a unit from the defence. Made Dorking play where they didn't want to really play because they got a big lumps charging them down, and all of a sudden Canterbury got a little bit fortunate with the Dorking knock on, and different. Now all of a sudden we've gone from kicking out from under our post to a scrum outside our 22.
It's going to be really interesting. Obviously, where we're standing now, obviously we're up at the top of the hill and we're watching the game go from literally from the corner flag down to the other corner flag. it's going to be really interesting to be able to see when you have the ability to view online, which other people are doing through MMM 360 Media, is that they get multiple angles of the pitch around here, which means they can see the real minutiae which we can't anymore, which is really great for the the normal fan who'll just be logging on.
I know, lucky for them, hey. Maybe we should be sat at home in the warm.
Yeah, or in the lovely horse box with the other guys from them.
I know, exactly. But anyway, so back to the game in front of us. Dorking have got the nudge on there and got the ball back, and they're charging at us once again.
All the time for me, all the time that there is slow ball, the better it is for Canterbury, right? Because you can get your defensive line set, you can get into the right positions, correct?
Oh, no, yeah, completely. So now they're pushing the boys out wide, which is really, really good to see. Whoa.
That's a cracking step. 2 steps, 3.
Canterbury have wrapped him up a little bit here, slowing it down, and all of a sudden they've got the ball back.
Now we can play.
Elliot Lusher on the charge. He's a big bruiser, is Elliot Lusher.
Billy Young, Jamie Stevens getting snaffled as he's... no, Cameron Murray getting snaffled as he was getting the ball. There is options out wide if they want to play.
Yeah, no, exciting. So here we find young Max on the wing.
That's a cracking statement. Did you hear that on the pitch there? One of the boys just saying slow it, i.e. calm down, boys.
Yeah, it doesn't need
calm
to go.
Down. It's the first
here we
time
go.
we got the ball in our hands for all. Calm it all down.
That was really...
Wow, I'm not convinced that was out, referee, but there we are.
And they've turned the ball back over, and they're on the charge here through the hands.
Got to go across. You've got to go across and make your tackle, Max.
Decent coverage there from young Max.
Play's just beginning to fracture here in terms of Canterbury on the ascendancy. Small change, and it's Dorking's turn now. What we can be hoping for here is that there is going to be another turnover by Canterbury.
Yeah, it's interesting to see. Canterbury have still been pretty relentless in their defensive sets here. We talked all day about how tired...
I think Billy Young may well have got the turnover there, or would have been at least close to it.
Jamie Stevens is on the charge. Big hoik.
Jamie, do yourself a favour, buddy. Turn around and go back.
Yeah.
Don't waste the energy, buddy.
No, leave the ball, though. Make sure you leave the ball up there. So we're approaching a decent amount of time into the second half here.
Yeah, certainly. I've not actually kept the old ticker going on the time so far in this half, but looking at the phone here, it's looking that it would be maybe about another 15 minutes, I think, of play.
So here we go. So a couple more changes for Canterbury. Yeah, Big Royce, I'm not sure if you heard that, re-entering the field of play. So a bit more traction in the midfield for the scrum.
You got Harry Andrews who's come off there. He's done extremely well. I really enjoyed watching Harry against, if I'm right, Westcombe Park, I think, in that pre-season game that we were here for.
He hasn't quite been able to exert his influence as he would have liked today. I have to say that's probably the statement of play for everyone on the field, not just him. It's been a little bit bitty, but yeah, it's been a really good performance for him today, and hopefully more of that over the season.
Absolutely, definitely one for the future as well. I mean, very young lad. I really like his general candour that he's got. Fingers crossed, big things for him and Canterbury.
Yeah, no. So Dorking on the charge here again.
Decent pick up. Dorking getting the fin, just beginning to try and turn the screw a bit here. There's a lot of pressure coming down the Canterbury way.
Sorry.
Oh, I love saying this stuff, Limmers. I love saying something and then it completely flips on me.
Yeah, as usual, Clemmy, you say something and the referee puts his hands up in the other direction. Canterbury get the turnover ball and they've got a penalty extra here to relieve a lot of the pressure.
So what I need to just say now is the fact that obviously the amount of times I do say something I get the completely wrong way around. What I should be saying now is, tonight, Limmers, I'm not going to win the lottery.
Yeah, you're correct there, Clemmy.
Right,
yeah,
Dan, it doesn't work on everything.
Yeah. So exit ball from Canterbury, not as much distance as they would have hoped for, but it's their putting from the line out.
Yeah. Nathan Morris has been doing a big shift now. He hasn't come off at all today.
No.
He may well be looking for the big 80 from him.
Yeah, it'll be a big, decent outfit if he does for him today, the big boy.
Clean
take from Jamie. Canterbury have got clean ball at the back of this maul here.
Not moving anywhere as yet, but it looks like they've set it well, and they are now just beginning to start making a couple of yards up the pitch here. I think it definitely helps when you have got a big lump such as Royce Cadman in there as well.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's real, the old tractor engine gets going.
Certainly does.
So here we go. Canterbury's attack starts fanning out to the right-hand side. Or their right-hand side, sorry.
Just got to keep doing the real simple basics, haven't you? You know, get your latch, get there, make sure you secure the ball, go through the phases again, slow it down.
Yeah, no, completely. It's all about controlling the game here for Canterbury. And as we say that, what happens?
A knock on and the ball back over to Dorking.
And they're on the real front foot ascendancy here. Canterbury really need to get their defence out
numbers.
wide.
I tell you what, Max has done extremely well to keep hold of the leg of their winger.
Yeah, wrapped him up pretty well.
That's
and
a
then
nice hit there.
Dorking are coming all the way back across the pitch here. Canterbury really need to be about themselves in defence.
Need to fan out, but they need to be mindful. Just don't let them get sucked in at the just in and around the breakdown there.
Yeah, this second half has all been played out, all in that one in Canterbury's half so far.
That's a cracking hit there. That was Billy Young there with the hit there.
Yeah,
and ball.
And the ball's gone back again. Open play, unfortunately, hasn't bounced Canterbury's way. However, they could get the ball turnover here. No, good clear out and slow down. Dorking go again. So pop up off the floor from Dorking. This another good hit, but the referee's hand goes up. We're seeing a real continuation of phases from Dorking here, Clemmy. Starting to build the pressure a little bit. Right in front of the sticks as well.
Worrying, isn't it? In terms of the phase of play here, that's the first penalty now in the red zone from Canterbury for quite some time.
Yeah, no, which is really pleasing to see as a coach and as a defensive outfit. You obviously don't want to be giving penalty aways anywhere, but giving them away in your defensive zone is an absolute killer. So Canterbury have done very well to be on the back foot for a lot of this half and not give much away.
Yeah, I think you want to be looking at, if I'm correct in saying them, but this next passage of play, you need to be looking at either making them make the mistake or being able to snaffle the ball, just clear your lines, get up to halfway, and then start again, right? Because as you know, as I said to you, the Corks spoke to me during the week. He said our defensive set is generally speaking good. It's just you're doing it for such a prolonged period of time. There will be a crack in the line.
Yeah, no, completely. So it'll be a great relief for Canterbury if they could get the ball up towards this top end of the slope, buy themselves 2 or 3 minutes of just a bit of breathing room to relax and go again, because there's still a lot of rugby to be played. So as we're slowing down here, we can see the game behind us for the third team has finished. It looks like 39-5 to Canterbury, so a big win for our thirds out there today.
I was just about to ask you how you know the score, and so I just looked back over there. Take a step and I can see we've got a great big scoreboard.
The beauty of eyes, Clemmy.
Yeah, yeah.
But anyway, so we're back to the main pitch, and Dorking have got scrum right in front of the post. They've gone for a 3-3-2 split here, so they've got two players out on the right hand side, 3 players on the left hand side, in the backs. Scrum's gone straight down. Referee chooses to reset it. Sounded like Canterbury believed that they'd got a bit of a push on there and they sounded confident about getting a penalty, but we go again.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, for me, I'd be looking at just trying to do something a little bit naughty here. For me,
in front of your own posts?
I think you've got to be brave. I think for me, as a loose head, I'd be looking to really slightly bore in, try and get my head underneath the chest of their tight head and drive him up. But then the only concern is the puttings from the opposite side, obviously to their loose head. The referee is on your side, so you've got to be really mindful. But a good loose head will be able to do it, no problem.
Slightly knocked on, well, not knocked on, slightly dropped, but the ball's gone back. Dorking have got the ball, and now it's just slowed up slightly here for them. I don't want to jinx it, but they haven't been able to get consecutive quick play so far this half.
No, everything seems to be very, very slowed and almost, and it's been orchestrated really by the scrum half a lot of the time. He doesn't seem to want to play too much quick ball.
But here we go. So they're pushing it wide here. That the 11's cut in and come onto the far side wing.
Not backwards again there. Tackles are good. Make sure you're rolling away.
Yeah, they are. So then the ball's going to come all the way back over to this left-hand side. Canterbury doing a very good effort in defence to keep pushing Dorking back up the hill, really.
Just can't miss those tackles there. Just went in between two of our players there. See, now that crossing there is almost an advantage, but the pass was shocking, and Will Waddington has snaffled it.
Yeah, as again, maybe one too many for Dorking. They weren't getting over the gain line, which really put pressure on them. So they're trying to force something that wasn't there, and Canterbury have snuffled it up. And it's going to be interesting to see how they exit from here. They're going to go for the boot, and it wasn't the greatest distance. It looked like it might have had a bit of a charge down. And a great tackle on Canterbury over the ball quickly, but to no avail. And then Dorking are going to go again, still inside Canterbury's half.
Ross Howard very happy with his tackle there. Came up really well onto the opposing winger, did his job.
Yeah, I'd be happy as well if I was Ross Howard. Good hit, good hit. Now Dorking are pushing over to the right-hand side.
Got to make those tackles, boys. Got to make those tackles. Make them stick.
So Dorking looked to find the winger who was in space. The pass wasn't quite executed as you would want it. It was hitting his shoulder. However, at this level, you want to be seeing your winger pick that up and pin his ears back. Canterbury, slightly fortunate there, Clemmy. What do you think?
Oh, most definitely. Hopefully, during on our feed there, the camera wasn't on my face there. I was blowing my cheeks out, probably almost as puffy as like a Puffy the Puffer fish. But on there, then it was on. That was on. He'd set that winger. The pass was just a simple pass, no more than a yard. Failed to actually execute the simple thing right.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a story for Dorking so far today. They haven't executed that final delivery as much as they would have probably hoped or liked to have done. One or two movements or passes away from being a very, very effective unit, which is great news for Canterbury today. But if they can get that link play organised for the rest of the season, you know what? A team that's come up into this division, they've got a lot ahead of them. Yeah,
and I think maybe obviously we can see on the stats anyway so far for this season, they seem to win. They seem to win at home. They seem to not do quite so well away. That sometimes just your home crowd base really does make a big difference. I know certainly here, and we've spoken about it before about the season we went up, but the season we went up, our crowd was unbelievable. They were raucous, they were loud, and you always felt that when the game got tight, we were going to be okay because the crowd were with us.
Yeah, no, so it's important for Canterbury here as the clock's running towards its end, that we keep hold of the ball, go through the phases, as they're doing here, big pods, which is the important thing. It's not about distance anymore for Canterbury, it's about holding the ball. As Frankie makes an exit kick on
I get the feeling the touch judge could have been a little bit more generous there with his steps up the pitch there with that clearance.
Yeah, it wasn't the biggest kick from Frankie. Didn't get the most distance, but the touch judge was certainly a little bit stingy there.
So I think here you're going to be looking at where they're going to be coming up in their pods, sitting down, going for the more. You want to be sacking this, no? Really quick.
For me, I like to jump. I think you've got to make their hooker think. You've got to make their jumper contest.
Would you always go with the idea of throwing up maybe the front pod?
Yeah.
Just to put them under pressure?
Yeah. You've got to make their hooker beat someone. If you're not jumping, it's an easy ball.
It's a free ball,
yeah. So the cheers go around the Merton Lane ground here as the referee puts his left hand up and the penalty goes in Canterbury way.
So a little bit of an altercation there between Al Evans and one of the Dorking players. But from my angle, you may well have been able to see it slightly better on the feed there. That looked like a punch. But Al Evans didn't respond, which I love.
Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. It's heating up the clock, Clemmy.
Yes. So scrum down, Canterbury ball.
Yeah. Yeah, so Canterbury had the line out against them, did well to get the ball back, and all of a sudden now we've got the scrum put in, be it on our own defensive set, but we've got the ball. That's the important aspect here.
What's really interesting is if you have a look now at how Dorking have set themselves, their fullback is inside our half. Would you go with the gamble, get it back to Frank Reynolds or Tommy Best, and just put your foot through the ball as far as you can?
There's a reason why he stood where he is. It's because the hill makes it very difficult to kick the ball that far. With the best will in the world, I don't think Canterbury have got any player that can get it much further than where he is at the moment. So in essence, if you've got Johnny Wilkinson and hiding somewhere in your pocket, throw him on and let him boot the ball up the pitch. However, in reality, I don't think anyone's going to get the ball much further than the halfway mark here, especially with a defensive set of Dorking crushing down on you as well. So it's going to be interesting to see what Canterbury choose to do.
So in theory, we should be expecting just the 8 pick up from the back of the scrum, perhaps?
Yeah, I think 8 pick up, maybe a couple phases, eat the clock, then Frankie might look to the sidelines.
Oh.
Well, there we go. So Dorking have got the penalty on the Canterbury scrum, absolutely disintegrated there.
Full penalty.
So Dorking penalty.
Are they going to go for the tap?
Right on the touchline. We're going for the Exeter here. We're going for a tap and go.
Got to make your hits now then, boys.
Yeah, phase after phase, Dorking piling on the pressure. It gets really squeaky bum time when you're round this fringes here, because as an offensive unit, you don't want to get lured into pushing too far forward if you're not going to ground the ball, because the defence will hold you up. So you've got to be a little bit conscious about where you're going with the ball. But Dorking doing well here.
It's a penalty from the referee there. I'm going to go presuming it's going to be for offside. Yeah, it looks like his arm was saying that. Yep. So that's now so we've got the penalty from the scrum. That's the first penalty, and then in essence in open play with the offside.
Yeah, so they're going to go tap and go again. Canterbury need to be really conscious about where they're going to be fielding the defence here.
That's decent.
Yeah, good. Well up from the defensive unit from Canterbury there. Dorking go again. And Dorking get the tries right around the edges there, which evens up the scores 10 apiece. So Canterbury giving away a series of penalties right on their own 5 metre, finally made to pay. Dorking get that 5 points, evens the score up. Not much time left on the clock, and Dorking have got a kick here to put themselves ahead.
So as we've already mentioned a couple of times here, it's just that constant, relentless defensive set. The pressure, it's still building, it's building. Now Canterbury, I'm not too sure what the tackle count can be from today, but in terms of the second half, they couldn't have done much more.
No, defensively, no. They've been relatively tight. They've given away bits when they shouldn't have given away. But you have to, going forwards again, they haven't really imposed themselves as they would have liked in this second half. It's important to see what this kick does here. Decent angle for the 10 off his right foot. Missed the first one.
Corker's down here on the sideline now. He's come down from the tower, so I don't know whether or not this is his last play. Again, we don't have a running clock here, so we can't say if this is the last kick of the game.
Flags go up,
and the
whistle goes. So that's the end of the game here. So Dorking celebrating wildly as they pick up a last gasp win here at the Merton Lane ground to win the game 12-10. Canterbury feeling like they could have shut the game out, Clemmy, but they didn't, and back to the drawing board again for the coaches.
Yeah, I think it's got to be. I think they're going to be really, they're going to be fairly disappointed, to be honest with you, because the way in which they came out in the second half, they came out with ingenuity and a will to play. Then within 5 minutes of that, it then became, hang on a minute, maybe we can't play the way in which we want to play, and it was defensive south, the defensive set. So it's a real shame. But I think for me there are a fair amount of positives. Frank Morgan getting 2 tries, two great positives there for me. I really liked seeing Max Halliday, and there are positives.
It was really good to see. Sorry, that Canterbury came out and took, in the first half and at the start of the second half, took the ball in hand and really took it to Dorking. Unfortunately, they couldn't keep that up for the whole period. Whether that's going to come with time or it's just all about learning to play as well. Which areas of the pitch you play the game in, and unfortunately, Canterbury, they couldn't quite find the exit ball or the exit runner to get the ball up here sustainably in the second half into Dorking's half, and as we said, pressure pays off.
Do we think, if we're talking about that statement that Mick Cork said a couple of weeks back, and then obviously our president said as well today, we haven't really thrown a punch or
I would say that I wouldn't say that today. Canterbury were the dominant side in the first half, and I think that's not a controversial statement. I think that's fair to say. Didn't perhaps make the most of their dominance, and with only 10 points on the board, I said it's a 14-point hill. 10 in the first half to Canterbury, 12 in the second half to Dorking. What you will be disappointed as a coach that Canterbury didn't trouble the scoreboard at all in the second half.
Yeah.
You won't be upset about conceding 12 points in a game. You're upset about not scoring in a half.
Yeah, and I think the pitch played the slope played exactly as we would have expected from most of the games and the history of being here. I think we were in their 22 once in the second half. And then in the first half, Dorking didn't even get into our 22. So the game was really played just down that end.
Yeah, no, completely. Which is the nature of the pitch here. It's not unknown to Canterbury. It's not unknown to any of the boys playing out there today. They know the nature of the beast.
So if they know the nature of the beast, should they be better set to be able to deal with it?
Yes and no. Yes, in terms of you know how to play the pitch, so you know what to expect in the second half. No, in terms of they would have felt going in at half time that they were in the ascendancy. Not just in terms of the hill, but generally they looked like they were the best team. The scrum was going their way.
Yeah.
The line out wasn't as clean as they would have liked, but that can be worked on. They were getting quick ball. However, they didn't get the points to add to the board to show for that ascendancy that they had initially.
Yeah.
So learning curves, Clemmy. But on the other hand, we're looking at Dorking here, a good win on the road for them, and all of a sudden they're still at the top of the table. They're doing really well, and they go back to. I assume they're back at home next week, and it's going to be an exciting game for them.
Yeah, and again they'll be happy, no doubt, to get the monkey off their backs in terms of being able to win a game away from home. So they'll be happy with that. We still have our monkey on our back at home. That needs to change. And I'm going to be really interested to see what both Matt Corker and Armand Roux, who is their head coach or director of rugby, are going to say after this game. We should be able to speak to both of them before we finish our actual stream today. Tough one to call, really. I think at times it felt laboured, but I just felt that because we couldn't relieve any pressure in that second half and get a good couple of minutes inside their half, we were always going to be struggling.
Yeah, it's tough. When we talked about it for a long period there, when your back's against the wall on your own defensive set, it's a tough place to be. We couldn't get front football, so when I say front football, we couldn't break through their defensive line continuously to get them on their back foot, to start pushing them backwards. And in the end, we were undone by silly mistakes on our own 5 metre. Another day might have closed the game out.
Yeah.
But not today. So
yeah. And again, there are definitely still positives to find. Generally speaking, the line-out was pretty decent throughout the game. I thought we didn't really lose much ball there. Scrum time, certainly first half, definitely better than the second. The moment we got Royce back on, we didn't seem to creak as much. So huge benefits there. And again, we've still got lots of young boys out there playing rugby at a very good standard, and they're holding themselves accountable.
Yeah, no. It's great to see that there is the building blocks coming in. So exciting for the rest of the season, but it's important to get things done now. So yeah. I'm going to step out now, and I'll let you finish things up, shall I?
Yeah, thanks, mate. So at the moment we've got Armin coming in actually, who is the director of rugby for Dorking.
Right.
Armand, would you like to hold that? You've got a smile on your face. I wonder if that was because of how the game finished for you.
Well, I guess the smile is only reflective of the W. I think underneath that smile is a lot of frustration. I think first half we did really well to just go 10-0 down with this wind and the slope, and second half we thought it was there for us, but we weren't clinical enough second half. I think it was a bit messy. A couple of opportunities for us to score tries, and we just simply botched it. So we had to reflect on that a bit. I think we fell out of our shape slightly. But, the smile is there because the character was shown. And, we managed to get that last try again.
Yeah, now, so the slope's a real tricky one here at Canterbury. And, I mean, if you haven't come to play here too many times or people don't know about it too well, we tend to say it's normally around about a 14-point swing in a half, generally speaking. Now, throughout the whole of this season, the slope has played the exact reversal as it has done today. So we had Canterbury coming in at half-time 10 up, which is unheard of in terms of the slope. But then you guys then played it a hell of a lot better for me in the second half. You mentioned there about it was just those fine, just the small bits at the end, and I felt that in particular, as the game was wearing on down there, both teams were beginning to try and throw something which maybe wasn't necessarily there, rather than backing themselves and understanding the processes.
Yeah, no, I agree, and we scored that try quite early on in the second half. And for some reason, with a half an hour left and 5 points down with the slope and the wind, we started chasing the game, which was a bit unlike us. The guys are exciting players. They want to play the ball and they want to throw the wider passes. But on a day like today, was a big learning curve for a couple of the younger guys. How should we be playing in these conditions, and where are we getting gain line success? We ask a hell of a lot of I would say 1 to 10 basically, to do a lot of groundwork, getting over the breakdown, and it became a bit messy as the guys got a bit tired. So, but yeah, I mean, a massive credit to Canterbury. I thought they defended well, they stuck together, but unlucky there to concede it. I definitely thought we were going to struggle to get this last try, just because the way they have defended, they're quite collective in their defence, and
yes.
they make some big hits. And even if we get over the gain line, they always contest the breakdown and make it slow for us. We can't get quick ball, so a lot of credit there to them for doing that, I think.
Yeah, there was a real lack of quick ball, I thought, in particular. And at one time I was saying to my colleague Limmers that I didn't know whether or not it was just a ploy from the scrum half just to be able to get your guys set for how you want to play the next phase. But it's that if it's not coming quick, nothing seems to flow, does it?
Yeah, we had a bit of a problem, I would say, first 15 minutes of the second half to get guys over the ball quick enough for us to play on a platform. So we were playing off the breakdown quite quickly, and therefore we were quite slow to react to get to the next one.
Yes.
So a part of the goal was to try and just get the guy in the right position so we can execute a breakdown properly, and then we kick on from there. But that seems to keep being slow the whole time. We never actually kicked on.
Yeah.
So did what I asked them, but I guess from a tempo management point of view. But there was opportunities there where we could have gone when we didn't. But no, listen, it's one of those things. It's a lot of these boys have never played on this ground. A lot of these boys never played National 2 rugby in their lives.
Yeah.
So it's a big learning curve for them. To play up the hill and be 10-0 down and come back second half to win it, there's a lot to be said for that. And even though I gave them a sandwich that I shouldn't talk about over here now, but they got some credit, but also they know exactly where my mind is at. But we'll go away, reflect on it, and hopefully improve.
Brilliant. Well, it was lovely to meet you.
Thank you very much.
I'm looking forward to coming down to Dorking.
Yep.
Fingers crossed. For me, the score maybe will be reversed.
Yeah, hopefully so. Hopefully not. Sorry. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Armand. Thank you so much. So it's lovely to hear from the Director of Rugby from Dorking. Just going to get Matt Corker over now very quickly, just before we finish for today. So, Corks.
How are we?
I'm right, mate. I'm not too bad. We spoke during the week very briefly about defensive sets. That was a heck of a shift in the second half from the boys. You know, the constant tackles, the constant the management of the game, and I really was watching how well the structure of our defensive line was. But as you said before, if you keep defending and defending, at some point there's going to be that little crack, isn't there? And that's just what happened right at the end there.
I think if look at the territory in that second 40, most would be in our 22, and if not all in our half. And there aren't any teams in this league who don't have threats, and you know they've got some really effective runners, and they're obviously a well-organised outfit. The real disappointment for me was not the grit that we showed in D, not the hard work, which was, you know, we're very proud of that. The problem is that in terms of that, it's not enough for us to win games. Like you said, we had so many opportunities in that second half to actually progress up the field, and we are looking to move the ball, and it's a great day today in terms of actually to play a game of rugby, and we just had so many errors. I think composure, and then that sort of control, and our kicking game into the wind did struggle as well. So the other disappointment for me is in that first half we just had the complete opposite. So we had all the territory, had so many opportunities. We had a really, you know, honest conversation at half time with the forwards, how we felt that we were getting turned over far too easily, and we didn't feel like we were actually winning that sort of battle up front. Yeah, it's extremely disappointing. I think it's important though that we have to learn from these lessons, and it's as much as it's what we do without the ball, it's what we do with the ball.
Yeah.
So the more we can attack, the less we have to defend, and it's very hard to score a try when you haven't got it.
Yeah, yeah. I think for us it was a classic game of where the slope actually played how the slope wouldn't actually play. And again, it was just, you know, watching it. The defensive set was immense for me. Frank Morgan, you know, 2 tries today. A couple of really big hits in the second half as well, and it just felt like neither team would have, if we're looking at the game of 2 halves, neither team deserved to win. A draw would have been a fair reflection, but unfortunate for us there in the end.
Yeah, I think if you roll the dice and you have that much time in your especially in your 5 metre line, I think you're taking too many chances, and you know we're obviously going to have to wear that today.
Well, it's always a pleasure. Never going to be a chore coming and chat to you, buddy. I look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks' time, buddy.
See you in a couple of weeks, mate.
Take care, buddy. Thanks so much. So, guys, that's the end of us for today here at the Marine Travel Ground with MMS 360 Media. Lots to work on, as Cork's saying there. The defensive set's there. He's saying that the grit is there, but there just seems to be something else which is missing. And when we find that something else, I fear that we will be worrying many, many teams in this league. I hope you have a great rest of your day, great rest of your weekend. Enjoy yourselves and take care, and we'll speak to you soon. Bye-bye for now.